It is now 1800 hours. I'm calling this regular council meeting 2026-04 to order. The invocation will be given by Pastor Jim Campbell of Bay West Church, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Mike Hammer. Please rise.
Would you pray with me, please?
Thank you, Father.
God, we're so thankful that you give us an opportunity to come together and make decisions that lead our community. Lord, we're thankful for these men and these women that lead us, Lord, from our council to the people that help them, all the way down to all the people that serve us throughout our community, Lord. And we pray that you would give them blessing. We pray that you would give them wisdom, that you would give them self-control, that you would give them a right attitude, Father. We pray that you would bless everything that comes out of their mouth, that you would help it be done to find the right decision. Lord, you tell us to treasure your careful instructions. You tell us that if we do what you say, we'll live well. Lord, you tell us that we should treasure your teaching because it's as precious as our own eyesight, and we should write it on the back of our hands. We should etch it on the chambers of our hearts. So, Lord, I pray that it would be written across everything that's done here tonight. Father, I pray that no one would come to this podium without the right attitude, and that you would control their words so that they would be productive, even in conflict situations. Lord, I pray for our council, that they would be of one mind and one spirit to get to the best answer, even when they may differ. Lord, I pray that you would give wisdom and you would give blessing to our city, that you would protect the people that come in here, that protect them as they leave, and protect those that drive up and down our streets and roads. Lord, we love you and we appreciate you so much. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. In Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah! We're now on roll call. Ms. Leffler?
Mayor Medina,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Jaffe,
Present.
Councilman Johnson,
Present.
Councilman Hammer,
Present.
Councilman Langevin,
Present.
Mr. Morton,
Present.
Ms. Smith.
Present.
Okay, we're now on announcements. Deputy Mayor?
We have 2 terms expiring on the Palm Bay Police and Firefighters Retirement Pension Plan. Board of Trustees, this represents city resident positions. We have 1 vacancy on the Community Development Advisory Board, representing one of the following fields related to affordable housing: for-profit provider, residential home building, and actively engaged in home building positions. Anyone wishing to serve on these boards can apply at palmbayflorida.org or contact the city clerk's office at 952-3414.
Thank you. We're now on agenda revisions. Mr. Morton?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I have 2 agenda revisions tonight. First, an item has been added to the agenda as number 3 under new business for consideration of a joint resolution with Brevard County for condemnation of an approximate 3,500-foot length of right-of-way from Forestar USA Real Estate Group for the extension of the St. John Heritage Parkway. Additionally, there was a dollar amount incorrectly listed on the agenda under the Malabar Road widening engineering services on item 2 under procurements. That dollar amount has been removed. That dollar amount represented the line item for this type of work in the city. And the point of coming tonight is to ask council permission to negotiate to bring back that actual dollar line item. So again, that number has been removed.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council.
Hold on a second, big boy.
Yes, sir.
Hold on a second.
I thought
sir.
I was out of order.
Well, I'll call you. I'm just trying to get that item out. I'm just trying to, any revisions that I'm right on point. Madam Smith, any revisions?
No, sir.
Council members, any revisions? None? All right, Mr. DiLorenzo?
Yes, sir, I'm back. Mayor, City Council, Jason DiLorenzo, Deputy City Manager. Staff withdrew the applications related to the LDC Phase 3. The technical review that's underway for the last several months warrants a reset rather than an incremental change to the Land Development Code as previously considered. So we are now ready to resume our community stakeholder feedback. Althea and the growth management staff built a three-step approach to complete the assignment, which includes stakeholder engagement, workshops, and public hearings for adoption. Over the next 3 months, we will conclude the stakeholder engagement portion utilizing surveys, feedback sessions, and social media. Last night, the growth management department successfully launched Planning Matters, a public education program suggested by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, and those Planning Matters attendees will assist with this portion of the review. Then starting in May, we'll hold workshops with the Planning and Zoning Board and City Council to review feedback recommendations and summarize the revisions. And at this time, staff will present changes to encourage clear pathways for community requests like city beautification, convention centers, and commercial job centers.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome, sir.
You knew it was coming.
Finally, in June, we will present a final draft for public comment and the adoption. So this is there it goes. It's not going. There we go. This is the summary of what I just described. Over the next 3 months, we will complete stakeholder engagement, and then we'll move on to the workshop and public comment and public hearing portion. And that concludes my update, and I'll take any questions if you have any.
Any questions, council? Mr. Morton, did you buzz in for a comment?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to highlight really quick the great work that staff has done, and just this goes back to the purpose of what we continue to promise. We don't just promise that we're trying to deliver this transparency, this openness, this engagement with our residents, and this really operates on our core philosophy that our residents are the purpose of our work, not a distraction to it. So we appreciate the extra time, and this has gone way over, I think, what everyone originally anticipated, but I think the process is worth that time, and so we thank you very much.
No, appreciate that. Deputy Mayor, did you have comments regarding land code? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Mr. Di Lorenzo. We're now on proclamations. Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Notice and proclamation of Caitlin St-Pierre. It is hereby recognized by the mayor of the city of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, whereas Caitlin St-Pierre was a dynamic young entrepreneur and the visionary founder of Hatia, a unique brand dedicated to sharing Haitian culture globally through tea, and whereas Caitlin was born in Florida to Haitian parents in November 2006. Caitlin founded Hatia in August 2015 at the remarkable age of 8. And led her company with passion and determination while excelling in her academic and extracurricular pursuits. And whereas Caitlin aspired to become a nurse practitioner after graduating high school with honors and was deeply committed to her studies, enrolling in both advanced placement courses and a dual enrollment program while actively participating in band and color guard and nurturing her talents in the arts. And whereas Caitlin's talent in art was evident early on when her abstract piece won first place prize in her category during a first grade competition across all participating schools in Brevard County. And her achievements with Hatia earned recognition from prestigious magazines, social platforms, and the World Tea Expo. And through her brand, she sought to support Haitian women farmers and to promote Haitian culture. And whereas upon being diagnosed with cancer in March 2025, Caitlin founded NoCangsCancer.org to help young adults fight cancer with faith and to raise awareness about the disease, leaving a lasting legacy of courage, service, and inspiration. Now, therefore, I, Kenny Johnson, on behalf of Mayor Rob Medina of the City of Palm Bay, by virtue of authority said office, do hereby recognize Caitlin Sana-Pierre. The City of Palm Bay honors and remembers Caitlin Sana-Pierre for her extraordinary life, entrepreneur spirit, cultural impact, and unwavering commitment to uplifting others. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Palm Bay to be affixed this 22nd day of January, 2026.
On behalf of my daughter, I, excuse me, proudly accept this proclamation from the Commissioners Board of the City of Palm Bay. I'm extremely grateful for taking the time out to present her with the proclamation. My daughter was a true leader, a loving young lady who was gone way too soon. I'm sorry. And so, with the organization to keep her legacy going, to help other young families, other young people going through this horrible disease, fighting her battle through the 9 months that she did in the hospital. It was mind-blowing for me to see how many young people, how many children are suffering with cancer, and I vow on her memory to continue to help others so they don't have to go through this alone, because it is indeed a very, very difficult process. So once again, thank you to my family and friends who showed up here today. Thank you all for taking the time out to listen, and we greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Penny? You need to stand up. We're now on presentations. Mr. Morton?
Sorry, Mayor, if you could repeat that, I apologize.
We're now on presentations. I'm going to defer to Mr. Moore.
Thank you very much. Just inviting Corey Skeets, President and CEO of the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce tonight for his semi-annual update. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. I'm Corey Skeets. I'm the new President and CEO of the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce, all of 3 months on the job, so I guess I'm a long timer at this point. Since this is my first time appearing in front of all of you, I wanted to personally thank you all for your willingness to serve the community. I worked for 4 different members of the Florida House over a 6-year period, and I can tell you my bosses didn't hear it enough. Thank you for serving and putting yourselves out there, because I know what a commitment it is for you personally as well as for your family. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for that. And congratulations on the ribbon cutting for the new Building E today. Fantastic job, Mayor. So we appreciate that being a new asset in our community. And also thank you to the entire city staff for being so welcoming and supportive. I've had a chance to meet with the city manager, deputy city manager, and a lot of the staff, so I appreciate the welcome that I've received since I've been here. So with that, I can't explain how excited I am to be the president and CEO of this great chamber. Nancy Peltonen did a fantastic job while she was here. She's a longtime friend of mine, so I'm so glad to be able to follow in her footsteps and hopefully be able to do half as good a job as she did. So we'll get to our presentation. We're excited about the opportunities that Palm Bay offers for our businesses and community. We see extreme opportunities for business growth, innovation, and long-term success here in this community. But before I get started, I figured you should know just a little bit about me. I haven't had a chance to meet with all of you yet, so this is very small font for me, so fortunately I've got my notes here. I've been in the chamber industry for about 20 years, former CEO of both the Lakeland Chamber and Oviedo Winter Springs. I'm actually chair-elect for the Institute for Organization Management Southeast Institute. This is where we train all chamber and association professionals from across the country. And so that's an incredibly great honor for me, and I'm glad that I'll be able to promote Palm Bay, easy for me to say, while I'm up there this year. I'm also past chair and current advocacy chair for our state association, which is known as the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. And I worked 6 years in the Florida legislature for 4 different members of the House. Been married for 23 years to my beautiful wife, Shannon. We have 2 daughters, one who is a senior at UCF and the other who's graduating high school in Orlando. I can't wait to move the whole family down here. Let me tell you, the commute is getting old. So the Chamber's role in supporting Palm Bay businesses. So we like to see ourselves as being the front door to the community. We're the first point of contact for a lot of businesses that come here. Believe it or not, a lot of businesses are a little scared of coming to City Hall first. So they'll stop in our office and they'll ask us, where do we go for permitting? What's the process with the city? And we've got a fantastic staff who's able to give them a little bit of education before they send them over to your staff here at the city. We talk about workforce challenges a lot. That's one thing that we hear about, and you'll hear more about in my presentation. And also business expansion and relocation. We've got a tremendous opportunity here with commercial development coming down the road, and we've been encouraging people, if you want to be a part of the space industry, you don't necessarily need to be adjacent to Kennedy Space Center. We've got room for you here in Palm Bay. So we assist hundreds of businesses annually by connecting them to city resources. And we partner with the city, and we have in the past, on direct business visits. And I know I talked to the city manager about that we're hoping to be able to ramp those back up, have our staff actually go with city staff out and welcome new businesses to the community. So what we do is we work on business retention, government business communication, and early identification of economic issues, which hopefully reduces pressure on city staff while strengthening the business climate. So workforce and talent support. Workforce availability is a top concern for all employers that we talk to. So we do a lot of direct interaction with CareerSource. Nancy, I know, served on their board. I've actually talked to them about taking her spot on their board moving forward. We also work with our colleges, universities, and training providers. We're actually going to have a lot of individuals from UCF, from Florida Tech, from Eastern Florida, coming and speaking at our luncheons this year, which I'm excited about. We like to maintain representation on regional workforce boards, which I shared, which Nancy's been doing, and also ensure that Palm Bay employers are involved in shaping the training and placement strategies that are going to be going forward. We also regularly convene employers to identify things like talent gaps and emerging workforce needs. And we also try to support employer retention, industry attraction, and wage growth and job quality. So when it comes to advocacy and infrastructure support, advocacy is kind of the thing that I've been known for over my years. It was actually why I got hired at the Lakeland Chamber when I got hired there. So we advocate for the business priorities of Palm Bay. In 2025, we've done things such as written letters in support of transportation improvements, working with the TPO, water quality initiatives, and also road widening and infrastructure projects. In fact, we recently did a letter to Secretary Kelly at the request of the city. We also like to strengthen city grant applications through business backing. We'll reach out to different businesses and try to get them to sign on to support different things that the city's looking to do. We also represent Palm Bay at different activities such as Brevard Day, which will be coming up February 3rd and 4th. We still have a few seats available if anybody wants to join us in Tallahassee. And also in Washington, D.C. We'll be going at the end of March on our EDC trip. And I also participate in a group called Citizens for Space Exploration, where we go and advocate for human space exploration in D.C. And again, I also serve on the U.S. Chamber's Institute for Organization Management Board of Regents, which means I get to go to D.C. annually for the board meetings. So we like to keep Palm Bay visible in discussions on infrastructure funding, workforce policy, and economic competitiveness. So promoting Palm Bay regionally and nationally, we like to reach beyond just Palm Bay, and we do that by attending conferences such as SpaceCom, which is coming up next week, or actually 2 weeks from now, at aerospace, defense, technology, and advanced manufacturing conferences, And we also engage with decision makers in the Palm Bay community on development opportunities, workforce assets, and quality of life. We reached over 4,000 attendees last year at SpaceCom alone, and the city and chamber are actually going to be sharing a booth space this year at SpaceCom, which I'm super excited about, and we really fought for so that we were adjacent to each other. Benefits to Palm Bay from all of this promotion, increased exposure, direct business leads, as well as stronger space and tech-ready identity. So our community impact and quality of life. We support economic development beyond just recruitment. We have the Brevard Prosperity Initiative, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, where we're working on specific zip codes in our community. Right here, 32905, where there are high rates of youth poverty, because we want to break that cycle of poverty by focusing on the 10 root causes that have been given to us by the Florida Chamber of Commerce. We also have monthly collaborations with nonprofits, employers, and educators on these issues. And we align resources for workforce participation, education and training, and long-term economic stability, because that is really the focus of BPI. And support city priorities such as public safety, housing stability, and community well-being. So measurable reach, just some stats. Everybody loves numbers. I'm a data guy. So we've got 560 active partners in the chamber as of last year. We hosted over 164 events. We had 261,000 plus business directory searches on our website, 576,000 total social media views, which was actually, we had a 186% increase in website engagement just this last year. And we've got a brand new website coming online shortly, which demonstrates a strong ROI for the city and its investment in the chamber as a platinum trustee. We also plan on expanding Palm Bay's visibility beyond the city capacity alone, so we're your partners in visibility. So quickly, just looking ahead, I see I got a minute and 20. One of the things we kicked off a week or so ago was our AI Business Lab. We want to be a leader in this sector, and we're the first chamber to do a monthly focus on AI. We also have our Scatty Manufacturers Council that we're going to be kicking off, taking a lead on manufacturing. We're going to have a young professionals leadership program that basically teaches our young professionals how to serve on boards of directors in the community. We're going to be proactive on advocacy for business interests and position Palm Bay as competitive, innovative, and business friendly. So in conclusion, the Chamber supports the city's success by retaining and growing businesses, advocating for infrastructure and workforce investments, promoting Palm Bay nationally, and convening the community around shared goals. We like to leverage the city's investment through partnerships on regional collaborations while delivering value far beyond the chamber itself. And I just again want to say I appreciate the city's partnership and look forward to working with all of you in the future. I got 13 seconds.
So, outstanding job in the time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you for your brief. And as you go on, when it comes to space and you promote the city of Palm Bay, understand we've got a video already tuned in. I'm sure you'll be.
We're going to be adding that to our new website. I think it's fantastic.
That's outstanding. And then moreover, our slogan is Palm Bay's got space for space. So as you continue that's we agree with you in that job creation. I have Councilman Mike Hammer that wants to weigh in.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see when and where SpaceCom is.
It's going to be at the Orange County Convention Center, and I believe it's the 28th, 29th, and 30th of this month.
Thank you.
And we'll be there as well, won't we? Because Lockheed Martin. Well, carry on. Mr. DiLorenzo.
Yes, City Council, we have a booth at SpaceCom as well. We're located directly adjacent to the chamber, and we're coordinating our efforts.
Thank you.
So we can fill in for each other's booths when somebody needs a bathroom break.
Copy that, sir. Any other questions from council, comments? Carry on. Thank you, Mr. Skeets.
Thank you very
for
much.
everything you do for our business community.
I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
We're now on public comments. Deputy Mayor.
Dan Holmes.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Mayor Medina, council members, city staff, and members of Palm Bay community. My name is Dan Holmes. I'm a U.S. Navy Special Operations veteran, hoorah. Longtime Palm Bay resident, former Heritage Panthers football coach, and founder and CEO of the Enlisted Kidney Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. In 2020, before I became a patient, I volunteered with an organization that's probably close to y'all's heart, Court Kings, during a summer nights event here in Palm Bay. That's where I first met the Mayor Medina, on a basketball court surrounded by families. Shortly after, I was diagnosed with a rare terminal kidney disease caused by toxic chemical exposure during a search and rescue operation I was involved with in the Navy. This disease ended my career, my coaching career, but it also started a mission in me. Now that includes national research partners, kidney physician groups, and congressional advocacy. During those years, Court Kings family member Simon Martinez passed away from kidney and heart complications. Today, we're honored to partner with the Court Kings family to raise awareness about kidney disease. I also want to acknowledge Court Kings co-founder Victor Martinez, who grew up right here in Palm Bay. He sends his love from a forgotten court internationally overseas while filming their Netflix documentary. He says he'll see everybody at the event. On April 11th, we're hosting the first annual Court Kings Kidney Disease Awareness event right here at Heritage High School. Court Kings is no stranger to Brevard County. They're no stranger to Palm Bay. They have a long history here. They've sold out gyms, school gyms at Bayside High School, Vieira High School, and Florida Tech, and others. Now, for the first time, that same energy and entertainment is being prepared and being paired with kidney disease awareness, education, prevention, veteran support, and living donor mentorship for local families, including those on dialysis right here in our own city. Our mission is simple. No one in Palm Bay should be fighting kidney disease or any other disease alone. Tonight, we invite the mayor, city council, city employees, and our wonderful community to attend. We'd also be honored to have the city of Palm Bay join us as a sponsor. Information on tickets will be released soon. We look forward to seeing our community come together in a fun night that makes an impact. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your support. You can learn more about my organization, the EnlistedKidneyFoundation.org. Thank you.
And thank you for all you do there, Sailor. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Michael Brietti.
Michael Brietti, 742 Cornelia Avenue, Southeast. I'm up here talking on accountability, my accountability. January 8th, we had quite a spectacle here. And I'm here to apologize to the city council and everyone in this room that night for my outburst. I shouldn't have fed in, especially not to a childish outburst, and I feel pretty embarrassed over it, to be honest with you. So I take accountability for that, and I apologize. There is one accountability that I want to bring to the attention of the city, though. On January 8th, live feed was cut to the viewing members at home. And how I know this is because people were viewing it and taping it and presenting it to not only me, but news organizations. Couldn't figure out how this was done. Cut live feed while still taping. Until a news organization reached out to me today and explained it. I think it's quite pathetic to deny someone their First Amendment right to free speech and actually discriminate by cutting live feed. I'm just here to let you know that within the next few days, this organization tells me they're going to cut all of it. It shames me because I've been up here with my passion, trying to figure out how to get down to the bottom of all sorts of allegations. I've given you solutions. Empty this chamber right here, put the parties here, and let them debate it. You'll figure out the truth. You know what I mean? And as far as the threats that were made at the January 8th, hell, I invite it. I can't wait to raise my right hand. Because those are pretty serious allegations. You know, that's pretty much all I have to say. But my apologies to every one of you up there and everyone that was in this room that evening. Like I said, I should have never fed into childish behavior. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any word on this live feed? Did we have a cutoff of live feed?
I have not heard that. I didn't watch the meeting to know if anything got cut off, but I'm not aware of anything.
Okay.
We can definitely look into it.
Okay, so Mr. Morton?
I'm not aware of that either. Definitely look into it. I've rewatched the meeting on the city's website, which I thought was a direct feed, so definitely the first time I've heard that.
What portion
If I may,
was, sir?
it was
what portion-
actual live time feed that was cut.
Beginning and middle?
And I don't think who's in charge of IT considered people at home recording this, which shows the actual live feed cut, but yet still taped and was shown the next day on the city site. I don't know who's responsible. I really
So,
don't care at this point.
I just want to clarify here. You're saying that it was cut, right?
Absolutely. I can
Okay.
show you the comments, I can
No,
show you the
that-
calls, I can show you
I'm
everything.
Just, you're saying that it was cut, and yet you're saying the next day it was shown in its entirety?
It can still be cut and still taped at the same time to show the next
Okay.
day.
All right, I'm
Yes.
clear on,
Yes.
now I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
You're saying that it was cut at one point, but yet.
It was cut to
it
fit
was-
the narrative. It was-
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Morton, can we look into that also with our city clerk? The allegation is that it was cut, but yet the live feed still goes on, and it shows all comments that were made.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
I guess there's a portion, and I'm just assuming at this point that it was your portion of being cut? Okay. If we could look into that, like to find out if there's anything that we could do if that occurred. We'd like for that to be rectified and see how we can improve, or if that didn't occur at all. Thank you. Next speaker?
Robert Stice.
Good evening, council. Robert Stice, 1796 Windbrook Drive Southeast. Quick comment and a request. The speeding on, during mornings and afternoon rush hour in front of my HOA, going into that L-shaped curve, is really getting out of control. We're talking about 48 to 55 miles an hour. People are just...
Your HOA?
Yes, sir. Summerfield.
Name,
Summerfield HOA. Now, what we did about a year ago is we put a retired police cruiser there, unmanned, which worked for about a week, and then people knew that there was no officer in there. But we really need to get somebody in there with a radar gun and actually write tickets. Warning tickets are not going to work at this point. People are just hauling ass so they can go down Jupiter, or they get on Malabar Road so they can stay in line and wait another 20 minutes to get on I-95. But we're going to get somebody clipped. We've already had people a few years ago, we've had
And that's
the youth-
Kogan?
Sir?
Is that Kogan? On
No,
Kogan?
sir, that's Bayside Lakes Boulevard. Okay. We've had somebody in a Ford Ranger go by and hit a tree, and a Ford Ranger caught fire, and that gentleman died. The other thing is related to that. So again, I'm requesting, we're going to need to get a radar unit in there, and if we get somebody out there, especially during, when people are in school, but it only takes once. I walk to Tradition Cafe, and people are Zooming. I don't even walk there anymore, because I'm fearful of my life with people just hauling ass, and you're putting this in their hand, too. You're putting your cell phone in your hand, and you're driving with one hand. So let's stop something terrible before it happens. Also, You know, I understand that the Eden at Bayside Lake, in my opinion, I just encourage you all that knowing that if you put hundreds of homes in that area, you're going to crush Bayside lakes. You know that, so I would encourage you to keep with the one home per 5-acre lots in that 198 acres over there. You know, also, with the kind of building that we have, at 10 o'clock in the morning, Publix is packed, the dentist office is packed, Health First is packed. This is all packed, and then people right now are adding to this, going to the Starbucks, and they're coming in here and making a U-turn to try to exit and go north. Again, you're in a very dangerous area. I thought it was one of the top 3 dangerous areas in all of Palm Bay. Now you got people making U-turns. So if we can get Palm Bay's finest to look at that, I would appreciate it and start writing some tickets. Thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Parker Allen.
Just so that you know, our law enforcement gave a thumbs up on your request, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Parker Allen, Knight Street, Palm Bay. Last week I picked up my prescription drugs and they were double what they cost in December. On consent agenda item number 4, there's 2 items, $9,000 for a wand for fiber infrastructure. That's real physical infrastructure that's necessary. There's another line for $12,500 for hardware for AI development. AI is like this generation's snake oil. It means nothing. I'd like to know more about what that $12,500 is going towards. People look at AI as like some catch-all solution, and it's just not all that. It's about to crash our economy. The main reason I'm here, a comment about the flock cameras. There have been no trials or studies on the safety of the emissions that these devices produce. So if anyone's experienced any increase in headaches, migraines, nausea, blood pressure, or fatigue over the last several years, as more of those cameras have been installed, you're right to question if this is a result of these boxes. And I'd invite all concerned parties to contact the government to learn about these potential harmful emissions and how they plan to mitigate them. And then a couple weeks ago, the deputy mayor expressed his views. He wanted to ensure that the city's doing his due diligence and that we fully vet our policies and procedures and look further into that. It was just a call to examine our procedures and see if they could be improved. I think continuous improvement is something we should all strive for. We had a lot of big feelings about that. There was the phrase, be aggressive as war fighters in our community. You know, this isn't a war zone. A lot of word salad, stuff about Marxists. There was a comment about defund the police. It occurs to me if you have more diligent reviews in your hiring process, you're just going to reduce the amount of lawsuits and settlements the city pays out, leaving you more funding for police work. There was a comment, something about his mental state's not good, and I find that encouraging because when someone feels badly after causing harm to others, that's potentially evidence of a conscience. The next step in your mental health journey should be atonement, but the immediate reaction from our government to instantly dismiss the possibility of wrongdoing doesn't give you the room to do that, and it only worsens your mental health. Thanks.
Next speaker.
That concludes the cards, Mayor.
As you were.
Sandra? No last name. You'll speak out on consent on the next one, unless you want to speak now.
Good evening. I live on Day Avenue, Southwest Palm Bay, close to the compound, and we've lived there now for approximately 3 years. Our street is unpaved, and I would like to know when our street will be paved. We drive up and down that street every day. It's graded. It's been graded for over 5 years, but it has not been paved. I'm concerned because when I drive, I have a concern about my vehicle. I have my neighbors who've had front-end repairs because of the grading and the vibration that we feel when we drive down the street with a graded street. So my question is, when will our street be paved?
Does that conclude your comments, ma'am? Is there Does that
It's a
conclude your-
question.
Yes, ma'am. Does that conclude your comments? Just that
yes,
question?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to have you come right over to, you see that young man with the tie waving at
Yes.
you? Thank you. Thank you.
That concludes the cards. I have one comment card for consent.
Okay, so we're now on consent. Deputy Mayor, comment card?
Kristen Lanzana.
Good evening, everyone. Kristen Lanzana, resident of Northwest Palm Bay. I want to begin by addressing a few statements from the last meeting because accuracy and the public record matter. First, Deputy Mayor Jaffe stated that he had assumed that there was discussion at the time of the flock was originally approved in 2021. Respectfully, that was not the case. Again, it was approved under the consent agenda, and in under 6 minutes, we were under surveillance. There was no meaningful public discussion and no real opportunity for residents to understand or weigh in on the system before it was approved. Second, I want to thank Councilman Johnson for again echoing my call for data. Thank you. Related to this flock system, I appreciate the acknowledgement of my concerns. However, I do want to also point out that not a single council member has responded to directly to my requests for information or support. I do take that silence as not as neutrality, but as acceptance of the system, and as a choice not to engage with residents who are raising good faith questions. Third, I want to thank the city manager for being the only official to respond directly and providing the important assurance that flock contract will not auto-renew and that the renewal will instead be scheduled for a public agenda item, as I have been requesting all year long. So thank you for that. I just want to clarify that the renewal date is stated as August 19th, 2026, and tentatively that puts us for a discussion in May. I want this on the record, not just for council, but for the public, so residents know when their voices will finally be heard. Now, turning to tonight's agenda. Once again, we see a significant technology item, AI developments, hardware, tied to the city's security network infrastructure being placed on the consent agenda. Once again, the public is left to unearth what that means rather than being informed upfront. I understand that certain technical data may be exempt for security reasons, but purpose, scope, and governance are not security vulnerabilities. They are accountability requirements. When AI enters government operations, especially alongside surveillance systems, residents deserve clarity before approval, not after the fact. This is not about being anti-technology or anti-public safety. It is about trust. Trust is built through transparency, public dialogue, and consent, not assumptions, silence, or after-the-fact explanations. I am asking again that this council commit to proactive transparency when it comes to surveillance-adjacent technologies and AI, before decisions are finalized, not years later when residents are forced to chase answers. Thank you for your time.
Does that conclude the
That
comments?
concludes, Mayor.
Okay. Council, any discussion on pulling an agenda item?
Mayor, if staff's ready to just answer it, I don't think there's a need to pull if staff's ready to just answer.
Yeah, my question is if staff can answer questions on this.
Yep.
Then would like to hear from
Okay.
staff as well.
For item number 4?
So I'll ask
Okay.
Mr. Beach.
I somewhat have a question about it as well.
I'll ask Mr.
Okay,
Beach.
so let's take this one at a time. Councilman Hammer, you have a direct question?
Yes, with the wand, does that mean that we're going to start doing locates in-house?
We have been, yes. We have some very old equipment. The wand is not reliable. It won't give us the proper depth. So it's time for replacing the wand.
So that'll let us continue to do locates in-house and not consult that out?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Beach will address the AI item. Listening to comments, I do want to be clear, part of it is, I think he's going to discuss his cybersecurity. I've heard the comments tonight. Whether we like it or not, there are people that use AI and are using AI against us. So we can't bury our head in the sand and pretend it's not coming, and that we can't be prepared to defend against those types of sophisticated AI-driven cyber attacks. But Mr. Beach will clarify as much as he can tonight.
Absolutely. The agenda item before you is actually a budget amendment for us to move some money around. We had money in the budget for AI development. We don't need to bring in developers. We have the talent on staff to implement these types of AI models. What we're doing is we're investing in AI hardware. I can't get into too much detail about that because that could expose some vulnerabilities. However, what we're doing is we're investing in the hardware so that we can host our own internal AI models. These are large language models. We're not talking ChatGPT. These are internal things that will assist us with our knowledge bases. There is no intention of connecting this to video surveillance or anything like that. There are no connectors there for that. This is to improve our government services, to improve efficiency. An example of something that we're trying to do, we don't have anything in production, but we have put together basically like a policy AI, where we've trained our AI on what our policies are, city policies are. So you can go in and search, say, what is the policy on a probationary employee? And it'll give the information right there instead of having to read through hundreds of pages of policy. So we're positioning ourselves to be more efficient, to present more accurate information, and to try to be as transparent as possible. But the AI we're looking at, we're not looking at video surveillance AI, any sort of things like that.
Thank you. Any additional questions, council? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
No, Mayor.
Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Madam Smith?
Yes. Ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget by appropriating, allocating funds as identified in Exhibit A, consisting of 6 pages and incorporated in its entirety herein. Recognizing that such appropriations must be made pursuant to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Bay, Chapter 35, Finance, adopting, ratifying, confirming, and validating the allocations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I do not have a presentation on this tonight. If you would like one or like to have questions answered, we do have some finance staff here tonight. I believe they can help. Our finance director is out sick unexpectedly.
Any questions, council? We're on public hearings number 1.
Right.
We're on public hearings number 1, sir.
Well, I just read the ordinance for the consent, so I
Yeah.
need to do the ordinance for the public hearing. Ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of the rear 20-foot public utility and drainage easement located within Lot 26, Block 890, Port Malabar Unit 22, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 16, page 14 of the Public Records of Brevard County, Florida, and legally described herein, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. This is the second and proposed final reading for the vacation of an easement requested to vacate approximately 680 square feet for the purposes of the construction of a carport and a garage in a backyard. Staff had no objections to the vacation, and neither did the consulted agencies that included AT&T, Florida Power and Light, the Melbourne-Tillman, Spectrum. All concurred, there was no objections.
Okay, is the applicant here? Christopher Lee and Erica? You want to come up?
Hello, my name is Christopher Seward. I live at 969 Ray Road. Trying to vacate the easement to build a detached garage.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this, for or against it? Thank you. I'm closing the public hearing, asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Johnson, motion by Councilman Hammer, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Any further discussion, gentlemen? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. You passed the last hurdle, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're now on item number 2. I'm opening up the public hearing. Mrs. Morton.
I apologize in advance if my agenda isn't tracking tonight. I seem to be having some difficulty. My understanding, this is the consideration of the First Amendment to the development agreement with Diaz Treasurers LLC for the sale of city-owned property. This is the second reading of this easement grant. I do have staff here to give you a presentation or answer any questions that you may have. Nothing has changed since you heard this item at the last meeting.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, no one's buzzing in. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Madam Smith?
The following item is quasi-judicial in nature. Public hearings agenda item number 3. Any person who wishes to testify on such a matter must sign a speaker card which contains a sworn oath to tell the truth. Any speaker may be subject to cross-examination by the counsel or any other interested party. Attorneys who are appearing on behalf of a party and not providing testimonial evidence are not considered witnesses and need not be sworn. Any individual addressing the council must state his or her name and confirm that a speaker card has been signed. Each council member must disclose any ex parte communication by disclosing the subject matter of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place. The order of this presentation will be as follows. First, staff will make its presentation, followed by the applicant, then any other interested party. The applicant will be allowed concluding remarks. The hearing will then be closed, and no additional testimony or argument will be allowed. The council will then deliberate in public. At the end of deliberation, a council member will make a motion on the application to bring the matter to a vote. Every council member is then free to vote in favor or against the motion. Resolution 2026-02, a resolution of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, granting a conditional use for an educational institution in HC, Highway Commercial District zoning, which property is located at the southwest corner of Fort Malabar Boulevard Northeast and Dixie Highway Northeast, and legally described herein. Granting the use as a conditional use, providing for a commencement period, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to open up the public hearing. At this time, I'm going to.
Mayor, if I may, real quick.
I'm going to call on Deputy Mayor Jaffe.
Madam Attorney, just wanted to disclose that I had a short conversation this afternoon with applicant representative Bruce Moya. He just called to inquire if I had any questions about the staff report and to let me know what happened at the planning and zoning meeting, and that was the extent of our conversation.
Mayor?
Yes.
And I spoke to the principal, but I got them in contact with staff. They just were having issues in regards to communication. So.
Well, thank you for the disclosure, gentlemen. So I'm deferring now at this point to Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, seeing as it is quasi-judicial, I'm going to defer to Althea Jefferson, our Growth Director, to present and answer any questions that you have.
Good evening. The applicant, Trinity 59 LLC, is requesting conditional use approval to allow an educational institution in the Highway Commercial Zoning District. This item went to the Planning and Zoning Board on January 7th, 2026, and staff asked the council, oh my God, what's happening? Asked the planning board to approve the item with 4 conditions. They decided to make the recommendation without one of staff's conditions, which included putting a fence around the property to protect the potential students that would be enrolled at the facility. They also committed to putting the 50-student requirement to conduct the trip generation and stacking analysis. So they have to submit a report every November to prove that they still only have 50 students. As you know, in our city, we have some concerns about schools and drop-off and traffic issues. They've committed, however, to busing the students, the 50 students, to school each morning, which should alleviate some of that. The students will be in grades K through 5, and the school is called Little Angels Christian-Based Academy. Just to give you some context, the site was previously used dating back to the 80s as a welcome center for the General Development Corporation,
GDC.
and then became an administrative office for various companies over the years. It's currently vacant, and now I'll read to you the conditions that the Planning and Zoning Board did recommend, and staff is hoping that you will also support. First condition being an increase over the approved maximum of 50 students will require an updated trip generation analysis, as well as a stacking analysis. An increase over 20%, meaning more than 10 additional students, will require a full traffic impact study. An annual certification of current enrollment each November will be required to ensure that they're still in compliance with the conditional use approval, if approved. All that will be required for them to facilitate this, once you've made action on the conditional use, is a modification to the currently approved site plan for this site. Again, the final condition being that staff recommends security fencing around the site to prevent unwanted visitors and for the safety of the children enrolled at the facility. We still recommend that as a condition. However, the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously took that particular condition out. With that, I'll take any questions.
So, ma'am, so if I'm tracking you correctly, it's for 50 students. Anything above that, like if it goes to 60, it's a full traffic study?
Yes, so they can go up to
So-
51, they can go up to 54, but if they reach 60, that will trip the traffic analysis and the stacking analysis, as well as a full traffic impact study.
And I also see that, did they agree for playground? One of the comments from the citizens was playground for kids.
Oh.
Did you notice that?
I
They were
did not.
concerned with traffic safety, parking lots, tree work, but somebody else wrote playground for kids. I was curious as to what the feedback was on that, because there was no comment other than that. You
No.
got nothing? Okay.
No.
Thank you. Any other questions? How long has this been vacant?
Well, that's a good question. I'd probably have to check the history on the property appraiser's website, as well as our BTR records. So I don't have that answer for you.
Yeah, it's a good location, but it's been vacant for quite some time, right? Okay.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
carry on.
Are there any other site improvements that are going to be expected or required, or is there going to be a site plan that is going to be required?
Should you approve the conditional use for the educational institution, yes, our code requires that they update their site plan. In this case, it would be a modification to the site plan, not a full site plan redo.
If there's no changes taking place to the site, would a survey satisfy as like an as-built of what?
I'm sorry?
If there's no changes going to be taking place to the existing site, is a survey as-built adequate in lieu of a full
site plan modification?
If there is no modifications taking place, is a site plan even required, and just an as-built survey?
Well, yes, a site plan modification in this case. There is an approved site plan for this site, and all that would be required for this use is a modification to the approved site plan on record to accommodate a school. So there might be some access and parking areas that might change up due to the bus parking and stuff like that. I'm not sure I understand.
I'm just saying that there's no changes being made. Well, I guess we'll wait to hear from the applicant, but if there's no changes being made to the site plan, is the site plan, should it be a requirement?
Well, that's true. They're not changing the site plan. There are some minor changes that would require a site plan modification.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, want to hear from the applicant? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's good to see you. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Bruce Moya, president of MBB Engineering in Melbourne, Florida, representing the applicants. Very, very fine people, very proud to be representing them, and very excited to occupy this building that's been sitting there really doing nothing for the city.
For how long, would you know?
I don't know. All I know is it's as long as I've ever driven by it. It hasn't been occupied. So this isn't a typical school. You know, this is a very small school. 50 students is what I'm being told is what they're going to have. No more, no less. You know, that's their goal. That's their model. They also operate a daycare on Jupiter Boulevard, so they bus the kids to and from school in 2 buses. So that's part of their model. So the kids are under constant supervision from the time they get to the site, being brought into the building. Even the outdoor play, the activity area is walled in. So they're leasing this property. They've spent quite a bit of money already fixing up the building because it needs to be brought up to fire safety and security standards. So they've spent money on fire safety and security systems to make it a nice, safe school for the students. What they don't want to do, obviously, is have any more delays and spend any unnecessary money on things that aren't essential. We don't feel the fence is necessary. P&Z did not think it was necessary. These kids are constantly being supervised. There's a security system. They're not going to be going outside. If they are going to be outside, they'll be in a walled-in area, courtyard that's already part of that building. So the safety factor, we believe, is covered. And then, so we agree with all the staff's findings, except for number 4. And as Councilman Jaffe had mentioned, he had a good point there. If we're not changing anything, which we're not proposed to change anything on the site, we're barely bringing any traffic there because we're bringing 2 buses and the necessary staff. There's plenty of parking that will be empty. There's more parking than we could possibly ever use on that site. So if I read number 3 correctly, the site plan was just for any ADA compliance issues. So in a lot of sites, a lot of areas, we find out that, you know, ADA is not in compliance. It was built, you know, it was built in the 60s. Maybe it doesn't comply with current ADA standards. So we always have to update that. However, site plans can get timely, even if it's a modification. If we can do a survey to show that we are in compliance with the current code, we would like that stipulated in that number 3, that site plan, if it's not in compliance, but if we can have a survey to show that if it is in compliance, that a survey would suffice. I think that would get them in the building quickly.
Are you talking about number 3 or number 4? Because number 3
Number
is
4, we
annual
would like to-
it's annual certs.
Number 4, we would like to go away completely. Number 3, we just want to add a statement that a modification for the updated signage striping for ADA compliance or a survey showing compliance. Because if we can just submit the survey, we can get that approved very quickly, probably in days, as opposed to site plan, which takes months. So they really need to get in the school. If the site complies with the ADA standards, then there's no need for a site plan. And the only reason I'm even asking is because, you know, whatever is said here is what staff's going to
Yeah.
take verbatim. So if I don't bring it up, it won't.
So, Mr. Moyer, number 3 is an annual certification of current enrollment each November.
Am I?
Will be required to ensure conditional use compliance. That's what I'm
So
tracking.
number 4.
You're talking
that
about
must
number
have,
4.
okay. So how many, are there, the 4 conditions I have are the same ones from the planning and zoning. Is there a different one for the,
I'm talking about staff recommendations.
yes? Oh,
They're total of 5, right.
where's the staff recommendation? Okay, so yeah, so, I'm sorry, mine is a little different. I have the findings instead of the recommendations. So yes, do away with 5 and modify 4. That's our request. So we can get them in their building as soon as possible. They're ready to go. The building's all the work in the building's done. You know, we really want to get those kids in there and have them start learning.
The fencing is strongly recommended for the security of the children
Correct,
and unwanted visitors. That is security.
correct.
So you want us to remove number 5?
Yes, sir, because the kids won't be going outside. And the only time they'll be outside is in a walled-in courtyard that's already part of the building. They won't be roaming around the parking lot. They'll be taken from the buses right to the school.
Yeah, but if we remove number 5 and then you have something outdoors, what ensures the security of the children then?
that wouldn't be, I mean, it's, if they're in school, they're in the building. I don't know.
No,
why they would
I'm
be
tracking
outside.
you there, Mr. Moy. I'm tracking. I'm just saying, we say, if we remove number 5,
Yes, sir.
that means at that point, anytime they choose to have an outdoor activity, there is no fencing.
Right.
They're on US 1, they're children. How do we protect the kids from not only the public, but from themselves as well? That's what I'm saying. If they remove that, then they don't have any obligation to do anything to provide safety for the children. That's where I'm at. Unless there's a stipulation that, hey, if we're gonna have some outdoor activities, then we will. But to remove it totally, I agree with staff for the security of the kids. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay.
I mean, if they're, I don't know if they're planning large activities outside the building.
Okay.
I'll let the,
Okay.
I'll let
Okay.
the principal make that.
Okay, okay.
Fill us in on what his plans are for activities.
All right, that's fair. In the meantime, I think Councilman Langevin has a question.
Yeah, Mayor, in the conversation you were having, it jogged something I just wanted to ask. Is this a charter school or a private school?
It's a private school.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, we do have an enclosed play area, okay? Total recreation area for them. It's safe. Also, there's a sentry.
Is it outside? Is it outside?
It is outside in back northwest, in the back of the building. It's fully enclosed, but it's outside. All right,
Okay.
there's no roof, but an opening.
But it is enclosed.
Yes,
There's a
sir.
fence there.
Yes, sir. We do believe in safety. That's our number one priority.
Okay.
Also, we will have a sentry on post, not just the cameras, but we do believe in security. Safety first, in the middle, at the end. All right, so we do have the play area. We
Okay.
have all of that situated.
All right, that's good intel. I really appreciate that. Ma'am, can I call her back up for a second?
Yes.
You don't have to leave, you might. So they have it enclosed in the rear. What staff's recommending is enclosing the entire property?
Yes, that has access to the building where the children will actually be housed, as well as the full lot in case they are outside, but outside of that area, which was indicated is not covered. I guess the exit door out to what they would consider just the play area, that small part is fenced.
I'm trying to get a balance here, right, ma'am? Because if I drop off my grandchild at school, right, if I drop them off, it's not a fenced area. There is a rotunda, but I'm dropping them off, so I'm trying to figure out why fence and what diameter, what are we accomplishing by
Yes.
fencing the entire property?
So staff's thought in this case was, the location of this, with these aged children, to perhaps make the requirement of enclosing the entire property, just for a safety perspective. If that is unnecessary,
No, I'm asking
was
questions
the
because I
thought.
wanted to draw something out of you
Yeah.
because it's for the safety of the children because that's a high traffic corridor.
yes.
And it's unpredictable. Okay.
What children will do.
I'm tracking. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Deputy Mayor Jaffe's.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to wait to rebut this when there was a vote or a motion on the table, but
Yeah.
we're talking about it now, so I'll just say, I don't think government should be involved in telling a school how to run their business, and they're the professionals, they're responsible, they have insurance. I think it's a huge burden to ask them to put a fence up, especially when we're not even specifying what kind of fence. Could it be a chain link fence, a picket fence, aluminum fence, a concrete fence? They've explained to where the students are going to be housed during the day and where they're going to activity at night. I just think it's government overreach asking them to spend money on something that we're not responsible for. And there's no ordinance that says that a fence is required. So I'm going to be in support of this tonight without a fence.
Okay. Thank you. So you would remove number 5, is what you're saying, right? Okay. Councilman
According to Google Maps, on the north side, there's a white PVC fence that encompasses what looks to be about 80 by 80
In the rear.
on the north side of the building, and between the building and Port Malabar Boulevard. Looks to be like a 4 to 5 foot PVC fence. But that's according to Google Maps in 2020. Whether it's still there or not, I don't know, but according to that, it's showing there is a space outside that is closed off for outdoor activity.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any speaker cards?
Bill Baden.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. I have 3 items to address on this one. The first question is, will this become a tax exempt identity once the school moves in? Because now it's being taxed at highway commercial, which is a significant income, and we're saying we need more commercial, we need more commercial. So by Batten standard, when you start saying, well, let's just take this commercial building, and now we're gonna make it a education, and now it becomes tax exempt, so we just lost that tax revenue coming in. So that's question number 1. Question number 2, say the children will be inside a closed area. You said it was an 80 by 80. When the fire alarm goes off, where do the children go? That's number 2. And question number 3 was, they've said they've already made all these modifications to this building, anticipating that it was going to be approved by the city of Palm Bay. So that means they're, by Batten standard again, they're jumping ahead and making assumptions that this council is automatically going to approve it. So that's just 3 concerns. I understand you're the one sitting up there, but hope it carries some weight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Mr. Moore, does that conclude your presentation, sir?
Yeah, I did want to reiterate that you are correct. On the north side of the building, the playground area is already fenced in. So, and also, I know you take your grandson to school, but when they're going to come bust by the daycare, and then there'll be staff there that will usher them into the building.
No, I'm cool because I'm a papa now.
So
I take my grandchildren to school every now and then. I just want to, for the record, I don't do it all the time.
I would if I could. It's fun to watch them go to school, isn't it? Yeah, and I don't know the answer to Mr. Batten's question about, I don't think private schools are exempt. I don't.
Well, it's a private school that's also leasing, so I don't see how
they
they're
don't
going to
own
be
the
exempt.
building, so it's still being taxed at the rate that the owner's been paying.
So
I don't think that changes, but I'm not a tax expert. And I think that, I don't think they understood when they went in there that they needed a CUP at the beginning when they started doing the work. I don't know who advised them at that time, but when they got to the building permit process, that's when staff came to them and they came to us, and now we're here. So, so we're hoping that this is an acceptable use for you guys. I think that we can't get enough Christian-based schools in this area. The more the merrier for me, and having that building used, where it's not being used, I think is good for the city. So
I see how you looked at that.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I hope that you will approve this request, and we thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Would the applicant wish to say anything before we conclude, sir?
Yes, I just want to, I just want to reiterate on this. As I said before, it's safety. When you drop your kids off, let's say this is a school, okay? Around it is the driveway, your entrance, your exit, whatever. We receive the kids. Our job is to make sure they are safe. We become first nature parents. That's our role. So we receive them. No kids will be strayed. We take them in the building. We have provided, as I said, that enclosed outdoor playground. That fencing is still there, sir. It's still there. going nowhere. They have a safe environment to play and to do other stuff. And on the inside, it's beautiful and you're ready to receive them. So no one or no kid will be loose. I assure you.
Sir, just.
Okay, safety, all right? That's our role, okay? So.
Okay. Does that conclude your comments? Yes, sir? Yes? All right, thank you. I appreciate your reassurance. Thank you so much. Okay.
So, Mayor,
Yes, sir. You
I'll go
have
ahead and make a
questions?
motion to,
Okay, well, I'm closing the public hearing and asking for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to pass this item and removing the mandate for the fence.
Item, removing number 5. I got a motion by Councilman Langevin. I need a second.
I'll do a second for discussion.
Okay. I got a second by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. Okay, Deputy Mayor or Councilman Langevin?
Yeah, I had the exact same argument as the deputy mayor. Yeah. And that's why I asked if it was a charter school or a private school, because if it was a charter school, they still are technically a government school. They're just allowed to govern themselves. If this was a government school, I'd feel like we have a little bit more responsibility. But as a private school, we may or may not necessarily agree with their security measures, but the parents don't have to drop their kids off there. There's the public school system or homeschooling if they'd rather use those mechanisms. So I just kind of agree with the deputy mayor that it's a little bit of government overreach for us to kind of dictate, nitpick security measures for a private institution.
Copy that. Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So the only reason why I second for discussion, why I wasn't ready to say second immediately is just looking to amend the language on item number 4 regarding the site plan modification. Some of the improvements that these folks have to do to make this building in compliance that they're only leasing and never going to own is a fire sprinkler system and other safety improvements. So I just would ask council's consensus if an as-built survey would work in lieu of approved site plan modification for staff approval, and pending the review of that as-built survey, if they aren't in compliance, then they would have to update and provide a site plan modification.
Yeah, because wouldn't this property be grandfathered in? Would be a question, right? This property is from the 80s, if not sooner.
60s.
Yes, so I'm glad you said that because it does have some nonconformities, including its ADA status and the rear setback. The rear setback, we're leaving that because they can't do anything about that. The building's there.
I'm gonna pause you right there because the city attorney is weighing in, and I'd like to hear what she has to say.
I just wanted to know if we are reopening the hearing that you have closed, because it seems like we're now taking testimony. If we're doing that, I need you to reopen the hearing.
And so it goes. So, yes, I'm gonna reopen the hearing.
Okay.
Carry on.
With regard to the site plan versus the as-built, the ADA changes and the updates to the signage, in the past, the way this city has handled it is through the site plan modification. Recently, I would say within the last year, McDonald's Corporation wanted to update their ADA and all of their parking lots in the city, and that is the process that was used. In other cities, we merely have some sort of application that's received through Public Works, because they're the ones that would be reviewing these changes. That process doesn't currently exist. So the site plan modification process is the process we've used to look at items like this, where there are changes in the ADA and the signage. It would be Public Works looking at these items for drainage, the specifications from the Public Works Manual, et cetera. But what I found was there's no process in place, and so that was the solution. No one else wanted to take it on.
So the solution would be keeping number 4, or keeping number, what was it, number 4 for ADA?
Yes, sir.
or the annual certification process?
Number 4 was that they had to do a site plan modification, and we could expedite that since it is primarily Public Works that needs to look at it and would do the inspections, but that is the process that's in place, and I.
Because it's non-conforming, right? Because.
Well, that's my argument is we don't know.
Yeah.
They're calling it a modification, and there may not even be a modification. That's why I'm just saying if there's an as-built survey, that gets reviewed, then it's determined it's not in compliant. But what if they do the as-built survey and it's compliant?
Well, the building was built in the 70s, you said, right?
We're just making a lot of assumptions.
1959. Wow, that building's older than me.
I think it was the late 90s, early 2000 when
They
the
got
ADA
upgraded.
and.
Okay. So we just reopened this. From what I'm hearing is taking that into consideration. Are you still wanting to remove item number 4?
Not looking to remove it, just looking to modify it to give the applicant a chance to provide an as-built survey for staff review. If it's
To
not in
determine.
compliant,
Okay.
then they have to do site plan modification.
So, and you, that
The
would,
modification that I heard is to have them submit an as-built plan for staff to determine whether or not it's not in
Okay.
compliance
Okay.
for
Right.
these items.
Okay.
And if so, then a site plan modification would be,
copy. All right.
yes.
Any other comments, sir? Mr. Moya, the applicant, any other comments? Okay. You have a question? Step forward. Ms. Althea? Ms. Althea, Councilman Hammer has a question.
Is there an option of modifying to where if at a later point they would like to play outside, because there is a lot of space here, a modification, should they play outside of the fence, a fence is required? To let this go, but the modification says, should they be using outside of that fence, a fence is required? Because it is along a federal highway. That's my only concern. And there is a lot of space there. And kids that are 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, they're at the key point of learning sports and wanting to be outside and play. That's my only concern. I mean, there's a lot of potential for a lot of area to play there. So, I mean, if I was outside looking in and I was a parent and I saw all this space, I would really think it would be a good place to play. So I think the option of should, in the future, they want to expand their outdoor area, a fence is needed. But we will pass the needed as long as they stay within the fence.
Okay, so is that a modification to item number 5?
I'm just asking if council would be okay with that, if we do.
That depends on the motion and
Yeah.
the vote. So you've stated your concerns on.
Okay.
And I think council will weigh in at that point, but any specific, Madam Attorney?
Before you all consider that, I would want to ask, would normally a school increasing their playground area, would that normally trigger a site review from you all?
Increasing the playground area? Yes, it would be a site plan modification.
So if it would trigger a site plan modification, at that time, you all would be able to consider what improvements needed to be done to the site, including fencing or anything else that might be required under the Code of Ordinances. You would do it at that time, right?
As long as they knew to let us know of changes. Sure. Sometimes people make changes without asking. But assuming, yes, that any renovations, additions, expansions, yes, we do a site plan modification.
So consider that they are here, and, you know, they are hearing that if they're going to expand their playground area, that's going to trigger them having to go through the process, and they've got Mr. Moya or anyone else that can help them. I don't know that you all need to actually say what is actually already required. But certainly, it won't hurt, but I'm just telling you, I'm not sure that it needs to be an additional requirement this time.
Are you tracking that, Councilman Hammer?
As long as they know, I'm good with that.
Copy that. Okay, thank you, Ms. Althea.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you, ma'am. Any other comments? Mr. Moyer, I'll give you an opportunity to say anything before we close again. You good? Sir? All right, so let the record reflect that the applicant is good. He gave me a head nod that he's good with this. I'm closing the public hearing, and now I'm asking for a motion.
Approve Resolution 2026-02, including staff comments 1, 2, and 3, eliminating 5 and modifying number 4, that an as-built survey to be submitted by the applicant, and if it is found to be within compliance, site plan modification is not required. If it is found to not be in compliance, site plan modification would be required.
Second.
I got a motion by Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Langevin. Deputy Mayor, any further comments?
No, Mayor.
Councilman Langevin? Anyone else? I'll close by saying I think you widened that horizon when you said this is a private business, just like Councilman Langevin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. We're now on procurements. Item number 1, Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I'm going to ask our Chief Procurement Official, George Barber, to come up and present an overview on this item, answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Mr. Barber.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Firstly,
Good evening, sir.
I'm glad Mr. Batten spoke about the last item because 3 years I've been coming to council meetings and I've missed one meeting, and the first time I've ever seen him not have a public comment card. So, okay. I mean that. I was a little concerned, sir. So to the item, just quick recap. You guys know we chose the expedited option. We put it out in procurement, the request for applications. We did a non-mandatory site visit. We had 2 organizations show up, same 2 organizations that submitted. We had a identified evaluation criteria, all within the packet. We had independent scoring team from 4 different departments: city manager's office, finance department, parks and facilities, and the CED department. So what's presented before you is a recommendation for award for CETA. And again, it was based on a number of factors. And yeah, pretty much that's the process. Here to answer any questions. And yep.
You have a question? You said on this?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm looking.
Councilman Johnson?
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor. So I see CETA score is 76.83. I can't find where Ms. Clinkscale's score was. Or
In the body, in the body of the agenda packet is 69.75.
There you go. Okay.
Yep. If you're looking at the agenda packet, it's in the executive summary. Should be page 6.
And could you speak to what was the determining factor, or a summary yourself of what you felt that was the determining factor?
So I was not a scoring member.
Okay.
And so I can, if you look in that executive summary, you have the comments for all of the committee members. They vary quite a bit. I can tell you the evaluation criteria that the applicants were scored on, which there was organizational capacity and experience, program design and community impact, financial capacity and sustainability, facility use and maintenance plan, community partnerships and collaborations, and also a proposed monthly lease contribution. We presented this before you guys before.
Yep.
The original proposal was just $10 a year, and we provided an opportunity for the applicants to increase that, which they would have gotten points. So again, it varied. 4 different committee members. I don't think I can provide an accurate summary.
Yep,
as far as, because it was independent and it's highly subjective.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Jaffe?
Yeah, question. So based on the lease rate of $10 a year,
Yep.
how important is the financial capacity of the organization? Were the balance sheet and profit and loss statements looked at?
Yes, so each organization provided a Form 990, and so the committee members were able to assess that. It's just their financial statement. It's just part of what would a typical criteria would be, but to your point, it's just to be able to ascertain if they can actually fund and be able to, have the capacity to have operations.
You mean beyond the lease rate, like payroll?
Yes.
And utilities?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Understood, thank you.
Mr. Morton?
I'm sorry, I'm choking here. Yes, the deputy mayor is going to jump in and answer that question. Aside from the lease rate, there is repair requirements for certain subjective repairs to be the responsibility of the leasee, and then also the ability to demonstrate they can remain open, and then the financial in terms of, I missed one. My cold's killing me, I apologize. But yes, that was, there's more to it than just the ability to pay the lease.
So when you say the ability to stay open, like maintenance, you're talking about AC, HVAC, that kind of thing?
Correct, and then the repair schedule, when we first brought this back to council, I had told council we have been revamping all of our leases in their entirety, including market rate. This one had missed that initial start, and I didn't feel it was ethical or appropriate to reopen that and go back in time, so we stuck with the original since it was just a rebid, the original parameters. But that original parameters in the procurement department, if you recall, had us to go back and negotiate repair amounts and other obligations that will be a financial responsibility of any potential leasee in the project.
Yeah, and just to speak and add to that, it's anything over $1,000. Obviously, the tenant will be responsible, but they have to cover. So that is a deductible in a sense. So, and that was based on prior when we had discussions for you guys, and just trying to figure out some shared responsibility for the operation and maintenance of the site.
Okay, all right, so what I'm looking, I guess the applicants are here. So what I'm looking at is, there were 3 applicants, 2 of them actually qualified, right?
That's correct.
And then the first one by points would be CETA Incorporated Be Good House Foundation. And then the second one was Community Revitalization Alliance Incorporated.
Yes, sir.
So it's between those 2 points, one scored 76.83 out of 100. The other scored 69.75 out of 100. Okay, so I guess we should hear from the applicants. Are they here?
Yeah, I believe I see.
So if we could have them come up one at a time, I guess the number 1 applicant first and then the number 2 applicant. Is that the desire of this council? Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. Appreciate the time, and thank you very much for everything that you guys offer the community. How can I be assistance in this matter for you guys?
So we just want to hear from you regarding your bid. You got the highest score, but maybe cover a little bit about the services that you're planning.
Absolutely. So one of my biggest things, anything that I approach, I want to make sure it's sustainable. I love philanthropy, but it's very tough to make sure it's sustainable. So everything that I approach in life is, I call the capitalistic approach with a loving care of philanthropy. My mentor taught me this. He calls it philanthrocapitalism. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we could offer something that was sustaining to the community, that provided value to the community. We brought the loving care of individual organizations within the community that could provide services. So we have CETA, who's a main organization, that they're the main financial sponsor in this. And then we're coming alongside them as a Be Good House Foundation, helping them with the operations, right? So we're gonna have different opportunities from the for-profit being a Be Good House coffee shop, as well as the Be Good H2O. We provide free water to the community, 1 per day per individual, and we sustain that through advertisement on the water bottles. It's not gonna be a moneymaker, but it's gonna be sustainable. And on the community side of the community center side of the Evans Center, that's where it gets really good. We're in different opportunities where we provide financial literacy, not only to the youth, but also to the adults in the area. As you know, the Palace subdivision is a lower income area. In my heart, growing up in a 1-bedroom house, family of 6, I identify with that. So I want to make sure whatever we do, we provide value to the community. In addition to that, I have some of my mentors who are going to be zooming in every now and then, providing financial literacy, workshops for business development, career development. Some of them who run $1 billion syndication funds in real estate. The Lord's blessed me with great mentors over the year. You know, growing up in a small town in Burlington, Oklahoma, you don't have a lot of mentors there unless they're in farming or in oil. So I went across the world and found some amazing mentors who have volunteered their time, who they're going to say, hey, we'll provide some mentorship in marketing. We'll provide some mentorship and guidance how to build a business. Or in fact, we've started to build the education platform to help somebody who wants to have financial literacy 101 all the way up to scaling and growing your business 601. And that's going to be providing for everyone in the Powell subdivision and in the city of Palm Bay as well. So our biggest thing is we want to make sure we're providing value. We want to make sure we're working with local partners. One of those is Ms. Connie, Ms. Margaret. I call them the matriarchs of Powell subdivision. Those ladies transformed that area. And I know we sat with them. We asked them, what do you need? How can we help you? And so she gave us an agenda of items of how we could help them. And it was a blessing here to see how we could help them. And then Mr. Joe over at the Concerned Citizens of South Brevard. And I sat down with him and was able to see how we could work with them to provide more value and partnership with them. We want to make sure we're providing value as a whole with individuals. And with my expertise of have been recognized by two different presidential administrations, one as a White House intern, another as a presidential fellow appointee. I've got a lot of experience in directing a lot of things at high capacities. In fact, whenever I was in my undergrad, I led an organization for the country of Haiti for 2.5 years where I was working with the Haitian diaspora, and I was working with individuals at the Haitian consulate, people in DC, and a Forbes executive, to where I was helping navigate and putting together quite a bit of metrics to make sure that different things were being met in our nonprofit. So this is something I have great expertise in doing, and working with local partners like CETA and Ways for Life and Love Inc. And these organizations just going to be a blessing to provide a much-needed service that's sustainable for the community of Powell.
Okay, so you mentioned some pillars of the community, Ms. Connie.
Yes.
So she's very supportive of your plans?
I don't want to speak for anybody, but we're very glad to be working with each other.
Okay. All right, any questions, council?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
No, my only question, with community partnerships and collaboration, the reviewer scores, one is 4 out of 5, one's 3 out of 5, one's 5 out of 5, and the one is 1 out of 5, which like kind of throws off the whole score, and it's saying poor level of detail and response. There are no letters of commitment, only a list of potential partners. So is it potential, or is it like?
So the individuals that we have, Love Inc., for example, and Ways for Life, they're going to be more of consultants and have a satellite operation there. So if they need to have information for what Love Inc. does, they'll be able to provide that in the community side of things. And then if they're going to need Ways for Life, for example, if they need to meet with a youth in that area, they'll have that facility as well. So they're more of consultants as well as referral partners to serve the community. So maybe that's what I was imagining that's what they're referring to in MUOs. Again, I'm new to this. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not much into politics. I've worked in DC, but this is much different level for me. So I didn't know if we needed to get those, but I mean, I'm happy to have those conversations with you and them if need be. Absolutely.
So we're talking about like a cafe and deli and
Yes.
financial literacy classes?
Yes, sir. So there's, as you know, the Evans Center is half where it used to be the grocery store, and the other half is a community center. So the grocery store, we're going to be revamping that to be the Be Good House coffee shop. And that's something that I've dreamt of for a long time, and this is where we're going to be able to make it actually happen. To where in the morning, we're going to have hot food, because meeting with I forget her name, but she used to run the grocery store, and she said the breakfast in the morning was.
Is it Hazel?
No, it wasn't Hazel.
Okay, carry on.
May have been Hazel. If it is, I apologize.
Okay.
But they said the morning breakfast was one of the biggest revenue builders. So we're gonna make sure we have a hot morning breakfast for sure. The rest of the day probably is gonna do pastries and donuts and cookies and things like that. But they're gonna have coffee shop, and every police officer for Palm Bay, every fire department for Palm Bay and Brevard County Sheriff's Office, as long as they are in uniform, they get a free cup of Joe, because we wanna make sure that they are traveling and having a presence there.
And you're teaching the youth in that area culinary?
So we can. So like we're not limiting ourselves to this. So we're actually working. I'm actually meeting tomorrow up at the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, meet with Debbie over there, because we're going to be offering some certifications for the entrepreneurship for individuals that are in the jail system. So whenever they do come out, they're able to have certifications and training. And part of that is we're working on an idea about a coffee shop. So we'll be able to do trainings there, but also do trainings where we're at the Be Good Coffee House there at the Powell subdivision area in the Evans Center.
Yeah, because that was my next question. Who's the target clientele you're going to go after first to utilize the space and utilize the services that are described here?
Are you referring to like on the community center side of things, or on the for-profit side where we're going to make the
Well, let's go over both since we have
Yeah,
time.
so for the for-profit side, we're gonna be reaching the community in general, right? We're gonna have some, we're working with the Brevard County young adults. We're gonna have a worship night there to get attention to the area. We'll also be working with surrounding apartment complexes to give some foot traffic in the area, while also hosting different events, like worship nights and stuff, just to get people used to the new idea that, hey, there's a coffee shop, so you don't have to go 10 minutes to the next coffee shop in surrounding areas. So that's how we're going to be working on the for-profit side. And on the community center side, we're going to be working with the young adults, the youth. They're going to be working with the adults as well. Because yes, the youth is very, very important. The young adults are very, very important. But we also can make sure that we're serving the adults with financial literacy as well.
Does that conclude your questions? Anyone else? No. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, George, you want to bring up the next applicant? Yes, sir, Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just when appropriate, after the applicant presents before council takes action, I did have one item of clarity I would like to add to the
Okay,
conversation.
carry on.
I can wait till they're done.
Okay, well, carry on now.
Okay, I'll go now. So just in full disclosure, we just renewed our first lease, our public-private partnership lease, and I'm not speaking of any organization here. I just wanted to add some clarity to our thinking and make it aware to the lessees. While it may not be an absolute lease requirement, it is my practice, as we just demonstrated with the lease renewal, that before we renew a lease, we will always ask for your Florida IRS 990 filing. And the reason we do that is years ago, I renewed a lease, did that filing, and found out of the $500,000 that organization had raised, they paid $490,000 of it to themselves and only used $10,000 for programs. To me, that's not a public-private partnership. Again, I'm not saying anyone would do that. It's just a standard that I've always used in government lease renewals when we're pledging public resources. We want to know the public's getting the value. Would also want to see some kind of qualitative metrics that show program impact reports or program neighborhood impact presentation, and also the certificate of insurance and or P&L. Just due diligence before we renew any lease with the city. That is always my prerogative. I just wanted to throw that out there in the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, did you catch that, sir? Because I'm gonna, okay, you don't have to say a word. I'm gonna bring you back up on that. Carry on, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to reapply, and thank you for the education that we received when we reapplied. I want to start with an article, Palm Bay officials article. This was November the 10th, and it's in the Brevard Business News. It says, I'm just not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to go down to the paragraph that I'm interested in discussing. Growing commercial. So the city of Palm Bay is talking about the 150,000 residents it has here and its initiative to want opportunities to grow the city's non-residential base. And the paragraph that it's the second paragraph in that article. It says, growing commercial real estate investment is important to cities because it stimulates the economy through job creation and tax revenue and revitalizes communities by developing neglected areas. I read that paragraph because our application from CREA to Community Revitalization Alliance is in total alignment with that. As a revitalization organization, we were able to secure over $100,000 in resources to engage residents in a community charrette. We believe that residents should have a voice in what is happening in their community. With that plan, we intend to go after funders to make sure that we can bring resources into the neighborhood that would help to revitalize it. But, to revitalize it. You call those neighborhoods, in the article, you refer to the neighborhoods as the neglected area. We refer to them as disinvested. And so our job is to make sure that we're bringing investment into the area, and that's one of the things that we've done so far. We also have partners who have donated land, a local philanthropist, approximately less than 1 mile away to assist us in the revitalization effort. We have another partner out of Ohio who is going to help bring more resources into the community so that we can help residents to revitalize their areas. We believe that residents should have a voice in the building of the neighborhoods where they live, and we give residents that voice. We also make sure that the revitalization effort is research, that we bring information that is necessary to determine what programs are necessary in the area, which we did go through with Ms. Connie, who wrote us a letter of support. All of the programming that we presented was based on research that we've done in the community. We've been doing and gathering data since 2023, and that has helped us develop the type of programs that residents said that they want. So I want to say our application is different in that our job is to revitalize the area. That's something that we do as a neighborhood revitalization organization. And I know that other organizations have talked about their different programs. Because we are an alliance, we have the capacity to also be able to partner with organizations to bring various programs to the Evans Center. I do want to say the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council has agreed to, like I said, bring the resources to help us make the Evans Center a community hub where residents are able to have a voice in how their community is developed. And I believe that also we have some young people who are investors who want to be able to invest in the city of Palm Bay in the Northeast area. It used to be the Bayfront redevelopment area. And so we've been talking to Mr. Timmons, who has agreed to continue conversations with us about land as well. We also spoke to the development where they're building those 500 homes for land as well. So our job, like I said, is to bring the resources to town. And we do have philanthropists who have made a commitment to assist us with this.
So I just want to drill down to the application, because a couple of things I heard from the individual that was awarded the application. It gives me the appearance of more of a pyramid. So not really physically active in terms of providing the resources that are needed for the youth in our community, where we're getting resources to them before they go to jail. We're not waiting for them to come out of jail, and then we say, hey, come to us and we'll support you. And I will go through just some of the programs that we did offer on the application. And if you notice, we provided 17 letters of support. These are partners who said that they will come in and help us build out our programming, and we will be flexible. If something else is needed, the community tells us something else is needed, that's what we're going to do. But we are bringing STEM programs. We're bringing AI, technology, healthcare training, financial literacy, culinary training for the youth as well as the adults, because we want parents to also provide healthier meals for their youth. We're also doing cardiovascular, heart-related type training, because we notice in our community we have a lot of adults as well as youth who don't eat healthy. So we're going to teach them healthy eating habits, and we're going to teach them how to cook healthy, and we have people on board already to make that happen. We have folks on board who are going to provide robotic training. We have mental health resilience training that's coming to this facility. We also have individuals who want to give our youth some entrepreneurship skills, such as hair braiding, barbershop. So we have looked at the Evans Center, and we have divided into 3 components. One area where we can do entrepreneurship training, the other area where we could do more culinary-related type training skills and enhancement, and also the 4th area, which is the community room, where we can do the classroom training. And we noticed just through, I would say it's a program that I use, and it's a methodology that I tried. We're going to be doing what I call preparatory training. We're working with businesses so that before we actually send the youth to the business, we're going to actually prep them to make sure they have the life skills, they have the preparatory skills, they have the interview skills, They are packaged very nicely in order to go in front of somebody else, an employer, a potential employer, for an opportunity for an interview and to move to the next level. We're working in our community. Our community needs people that look like us, and that's a minority community. That's the low-income community. So we are providing resources to them. We are wrapping our arms around them. We already have individuals standing by that will be able to open that center 24/7 if needed. If a youth comes to us and says, we need your support, we need some of that Korea love. That's what we're about. So we're not just about, we've got an 8 to 5 job. That's not what we're about. We're going to be there for the young people 24/7 if that's what's needed. We want to make the Evans Center what we consider to be a safe house, if you will, because we know we want to get to our youth, and when I say youth, that could be anywhere from as young as 8, 9, 10 years old to as old as 25, 26 years old. They will know that there are people that look like them who have worked with others in the community. Between us, we have 50 years of experience working in community, working with youth. Alberta's got about 25, and I've got about 25. So, and we could have more. But we are here to make a difference in our community for the young people who need somebody who looks like them before they end up in a place where now they're in jail. We've even talked to the Police Explorer program, and they're willing to work with us as well. And we want to bring them into the fold. But again, as I said earlier, we've got over 17 applications or letters of support where individuals said that they will come and work with us. We have, in terms of income, we have 8 organizations that are providing just starting. They are providing financial support to get this off the ground. And of those 8, we already have 3 that have already been funded to make this happen. So we feel like we're in a very strong position, and we are very diverse in terms of the resources and the opportunities that we will provide to our community.
Madam Jones, I have a question. You covered a slew of
Yes.
programs, right? And so I'll start, and I love the STEM aspect to it. I love the robotics aspect to what you discussed, right? But I want to drill down on a little something. The culinary. What's your vision? Like, I heard his vision, right? His vision was cafe, kind of like a deli setting, teaching these, the youth how to navigate that. What's that vision for?
Okay, I'm going to let Ms. Alberta address that because she's
Okay.
done all the work to
Okay.
pull that together.
Okay,
Yes.
that's cool.
Okay, the culinary program is not only cooking, showing people how to cook, but it also has a mental resiliency piece. So people will get food handlers licenses. They will also be able to get mental health or suicide prevention certification and mental health first aid certification in that kitchen. Because you have to understand that our youth we have so many youth now who are having these mental health issues. It's not about throwing them into some business without addressing the mental health part of it. So the culinary program would be Chef Ross from Kaiser University has agreed to help us to put that program together in terms of not just showing them how to cook, but showing them how to package it, how to market it, and actually make it like a incubator, like a culinary incubator, where people can learn how to do canning, pickling, different meals from different ethnic groups, that kind of thing. In terms of how the funds come in, we have memberships where we would allow people to use the kitchen at certain hours when it's not being used. They can also use the refrigeration, and we charge for that as well. We put together membership packages to cover some of that cost. But you want to add something?
So okay, I'm just trying to visualize this, because part of the Evans Center, they used to sell food, right? And early in the morning, I think he nailed it. That was the peak of, their sales was breakfast, right? So is that a vision? I'm just trying to get a
We're
vision.
still in conversation about that, because people in the community has told us, even Ms. Connie, who wrote us a letter of support, she will also have key access, because the community has key access as well. So she's the lead over that to make sure
Ms.
that
Connie
everything.
is?
Yes, she is. We put her in an application. She's one of the leads inside of the building where she can actually help make sure that it's running, that when we're not there, somebody has access to, in the evening, if something happened, emergency, she's like an evening emergency contact. But, go ahead.
Okay.
But in terms of the, okay, so we have, people in the community have asked that same question. We hadn't thought about it originally, but people have told us what items they like, and it's always the breakfast items. And so we would develop a plan around it only because the community has said that.
It's a need, is what
It's a
you're saying.
need, yeah, there's no entity over there
You know, there's a
providing food.
there's another good opportunity for partnership if you were to get that. Maybe he has a little bit of expertise with that. Maybe incorporate the other individual
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
one of the other areas, excuse me, Mayor, I don't mean to cut you off, but one of the areas that we address, because we're going to be constantly evolving as we build this out, if we get that opportunity, of course. But one of the other areas we address is that we will bring in food trucks initially to serve, because we're going to have youth in the building going through training, and one of the things is we know you feed them, they come. So our youth will always have an opportunity to get a hot meal, to get an opportunity to eat. As we're building out our culinary program, we know there's work to be done to do that, so we're not going to stand here on any false pretense and say like right away that's going to happen. But what will happen right away is they will get a hot meal while they're training, while they're in the building, and their nourishment issues will be addressed, because that's what makes them come. That's what part of what brings the young people to the facility. As we're also addressing their other issues, the educational issues, the mental health issues, as Ms. Alberta addressed, all of that will be addressed.
Thank you. Any questions, Council? Councilman Johnson?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay, Councilman Hammer?
I did see on there, there was questions about the maintenance of the outside of it as well, where the other company said they will maintain the outside and everything. What were the expectations of the city of the maintenance of the outside? Because that's the only go-between I see as a difference, is one is saying we will maintain it, and the other one, or with you, it's saying,
Well, Councilman Hammer, we went strictly by the application. And as part of the application, there was, I would say, if you will, the offer that the city would maintain the outside of the facility, which is great for us. So it's not like when we completed the application, we stayed within the parameters of what our requirement was and what the city identified as their criteria or their requirements.
I want to say that there's not that much outside. I mean, we've been walking this facility, we've been bringing funders through that facility from the first application. We brought at least 7 funders, and the reason why those funds are not secured is because we didn't get in. And so people want to assist with the programs that we're talking about. And the outside is hardly nothing. We can maintain the outside of the facility very well. I mean, it's really just cutting grass.
Yeah. But again, the application says the city will facilitate those responsibilities. And we also had to identify what we would facilitate as well.
Thank you. Does that conclude your question, sir? Councilman Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, ladies, for coming back. I know it's been a long road for y'all, so I appreciate y'all hanging in there. I guess I only had a few questions. I'll be brief. With the organizations that were listed for y'all, are they potential organizations or ones that, to what you said, Ms. Clinksdale's, if you get inside, they're in? So I'm speaking of like Health First, Association of Black Cardiologists, Medica, East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, the Broken Birds, Civica Works, Intrinsic Behavioral Health, Angels Bridging Gaps, STEM Tech Academy. I can go on and on.
Yes, they are committed, and we have letters of support to identify and validate their commitment.
Okay.
And we've already received some of the funding. We're still waiting for our funding from Northwood Grumman. And we did have Kevin Stewart take that, we didn't have to fill the application from outside, cold application. We had the Director of Business Management take our application to Norfolk Grumman for $500,000 over 10 years, which puts us at $50,000 a year. And I do want to say, when you look at CREA, we was this Space Coast Cultural Arts and Business Organization, and we restructured because we noticed that all of the organizations that are working in silos will never transform a community. In order to transform a community, organizations have to work together. And so we wanted to decrease those silos, and the model we use is purpose-built communities. And that's another resource. Once we get to a certain dollar figure, it kicks in pro bono services. We visited Purpose-Built in Atlanta. We took Joe McNeil from Concerned Citizens. Marcus Smith went on the trip, Karen Wilson, and myself. We went up to Georgia, Atlanta. They showed us their whole model. So it's about, when you're working in low wealth areas, yeah, sometimes, the funds that you bring in, you have to bring in new money, is what I'm saying. And so people are ready, residents want to have a voice in building, especially in this environment where we're losing a lot of access, because there's no more affirmative action that will give you government contracts the way that it was. And so people have to start finding new ways that they're actually going to be able to get contracts with organizations like yours, city organizations, state organizations. So we need to, this is the kind of planning that this community has to have a hub. Every time we have a meeting, it's at the community center. You have to leave after 2 hours. This community wants to have a hub where it can be for revitalization, it can be for redevelopment, and we give them that voice. And not only that, is all of our money ain't coming from the same people locally. We're bringing in new money. And then we have, just like I said, Mr. Timmons and the property that we have some young investors. I thought Orinthia Adams was here, but she wants to put up and she wants to do some building. So I just think that when CREA restructured, we didn't do anything for about 1.5 years. So when you look at our profit and loss statements and you look at those things, they are a little bit weaker, but in 3 months, we were able to bring in over $30,000. We have reserve funds of over $26,000, so it's not, you can't just judge the book, you just have to, I'm just saying, we have capacity, our board of directors has committed to this, and they have capacity.
Okay.
So we are not going to be closing.
And I just want to emphasize one thing that Alberta addressed.
I saw you fighting for the mic.
Yeah, I always tell her too much is not good, but but anyway, one of the things I just want to address that Alberta shared is that CREA has been working with this community for over a year, correct?
10 years.
10 years, but going to these meetings and laying down a pathway, a plan of action, how we can best serve our youth. I can tell you, we sat in a meeting one day and they were talking about, and the police were there, and that's part of that community interaction. And they were talking about so many young people on the corners selling drugs, et cetera, and who they had to arrest. We want to be at the forefront of that. We want to get them off the corners and get them off the streets. We don't want to see them being arrested. They are full of so much potential and so much value. And it's almost as like the template is like, let them get in trouble, then we're going to arrest them, then we're going to give them a prison record, and their future is going to be totally wiped out for them. They're going to struggle just to get back into the community. Our plan of action, we're talking to the young people on the streets already, on the corners, and saying, we are looking to get a community center where you have a place you can call home and where you can feel that you belong.
All right.
And the same people standing here.
We're getting at the point where we're repeating, right? So I got Councilman, Deputy Mayor Jaffe.
Okay.
You have a
Yeah,
question?
I was just going to make the suggestion that I think we move to a vote. But I do want to make just a statement. I served on the Evans Center board years ago before I campaigned and was elected to office, and the market closed first. It just lost a tremendous amount of money. It wasn't a profit center, and I don't even know if it could function as a nonprofit center. Just wasn't enough volume of business. The margins on food and beverages is very, very thin. Cost of goods are very, very high. I like the idea that the kitchen is going to be utilized as a learning facility. I happen to know that I don't think some of the equipment in there actually works up to its potential to even serve as a functioning restaurant. And then the issues and everything that go into like health department inspections and getting certified to be able to sell food in there as well. And so, then ultimately the market closed after the hot.
Did you have a question?
No, just making a
Okay.
statement,
Okay, so I want to, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to try to move this along. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have both applicants speak. Deputy Mayor, are there any speaker cards?
I believe the cards I have are from the applicants, had a Alberta Clean Scales and a Earl
Okay.
Simmons Simon.
Okay, so
Earl
no-
Simmons is right there.
No additional speaker cards? No? Okay, so I see where you're at. So now, I'm going to ask for a motion, but
Wait.
I'm going to say.
Mayor, I see Mr. Earl Simmons right there.
But
okay.
Is there a speaker
Earl
card
Si-
there?
yeah, Earl Simmons then,
Okay.
yep.
Mr. Simmons, thank you.
Yes, sir. I represent.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, there was a speaker card for Mr. Simmons?
said Earl Simmons.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long evening. Good afternoon. I'm not strong on the protocol, the etiquette, but good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in line with Ms. Alberta and Ms. Terry, organization for the Evans Center. And case being, I noticed that they're fighting against deep pockets. Cedar is deep pocket. They're not deep pocket. But I can tell you this right here. I have noticed these young ladies for almost 5 years in the community working. I had an opportunity when I was in South Carolina to work for it was some youth program. They were serving under youth program. What happened was someone had a deep pocket and they bid it on the contract. So their concern was the turnover in revenue. The employees that they had in the building that's supposed to work for the community, they didn't favor the community. Okay, it was almost like, you're getting the numbers and just let the kids go through. So what I'm saying is I realize that right now, Ms. Alberta and them are fighting against deep pocket. But I can assure you, their heart is in this community. I have seen them working. So in line with Pastor Campbell, he said that the good book said the least of these we should serve. And I think by allowing Miss Alberta, I think the nomination is Korea, to take the helm to bring some life in this community, back into the community. I don't have anything against Cedar. I believe Cedar is a strong organization, but I think that this department is not their forte. It's not. So, with that being said, in promotion for Miss Alberta and Miss Terry, because I know they have a feel for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
That concludes the cards, Mayor.
Okay. No one else filled out a card? Did you fill a card out, ma'am? Are you sitting there to come speak? Okay. So, ma'am, I'm going to have you fill out a card, but go ahead, come on and speak. Come on and speak now, and then go fill out the card. We know who you are, ma'am.
Good evening, Connie McClare, President of Power Subdivision Neighborhood. I wasn't intended to speak, but after listening to everything, I just want to remind y'all, it's history there, with the Evans Center. And I did speak with Brandon. I met with him. I met with Ms. Klingscale. And I did tell them both what I expect. I did let them know that the deli, was doing good. That's where most of the funding, when Evans were open, were coming through the deli and everything. So I was telling them, once it's get up and running, if you can do something, start selling hot food, especially in the morning time, breakfast, and stuff, because in the morning time, they make, a lot of money selling the breakfast, because the workers going to work and stuff and everything, so, but I just want to let y'all know, please, do the right thing, because it's history there. Thank you.
Okay, so ma'am, I need you to fill out a card. Thank you. Thank you. So there are no additional speakers. Folks, I'm gonna before I ask for a motion, I just want to go on the record. Even though our ward system is on a point system, I think for the quality and enhancing the quality of life within that community, I would support Alberta Klingscale. And I say that with her program because I truly believe if they have that collaboration with others, that's where I would support. It's up to the pleasure of this council, but if that motion was to include, I would definitely be seconding that motion. Councilman Hammer?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what you said, and I'm also gonna go back to the point that I'm gonna make a decision based on what Mr. Evans would do. I mean, it's named after him for a reason. It's something he would do, and having been from here and being in Mr. Evans' store before, I know what he inspects. I know the Evans Center was a point of center. Gravity was at Mr. Evans Center. Everything got pulled to there, whether it was food, whether it was hanging out, whether it was meeting people to go play ball over at the Lipscomb Park. It could be anything. I will be echoing what you said. I'm not going to say the other program is not absolutely amazing. I think if it was anywhere other than the Evans Center, my decision would be different, but I am going to side with Mr. Evans on this.
Okay, so I need a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to award the lease agreement to CRA Inc.
I second that. So
Yes, I would like to elaborate. Because I really, man, this is almost like a King Solomon moment. I wish we had like 2 facilities to provide because there's a need for both, I feel. And I remember when we first were debating on whether to utilize this property, the focus was on youth, and it was emphasized. But where I'm torn on it is because I know it's referenced as CETA as deep pockets, but I see deep history with CETA as well because they've done a lot of great things. My grandmother's helped out with CETA in regards to helping those in that community. I guess the main thing I want to emphasize is it's not just about the youth. Like this past semester, I was over helping out with Club Esteem with the children every week, twice a week, but they will go right back to those homes. And it was like starting all the way back from scratch the following week, especially when it was the weekend. I'm like, man, didn't we just talk about respect? So one thing I've learned is when you turn the hearts of the men to Christ or to, morals and to ethical values, the family tends to follow. So there is a need for the men as well, a big need, because that's why our society is the way it is. And the only thing, I don't want to harp on it, but I do know when I volunteer places at schools and everything, those who look like me, like the younger boys and everything, they identify more. But I do want us to be careful with that kind of terminology, because I do know and I'm going to mess with them, but I do know if a council member up here said that, this place will be packed the next meeting. And that's what I'll leave with that. Y'all can pick that up if y'all want. But either way, I want us to be very cautious, but I do recognize that, when they see when somebody sees George Barber and he plays baseball, they're like, oh, wow, I can do that as well. So I recognize that too, but I will be supporting it as I made with the motion. But I love CETA as well. So if there was another facility, I will want to award it to them.
and I second it. And there's there's multiple folds to why I second. I'm blessed to be on this dais, right? Number one. And thank you, Councilman Hammer, to taking me back to the day where I first met Mr. Evans. Most people don't know, but I was a marketing consultant for the Florida Lottery back in the day. And the Evans Center, you know, believe it or not, they were pretty efficient in selling those lottery tickets. And so he was one of the most respectful, kind, courteous individuals I've ever come in contact with. So thank you, Mr. Hammer, for bringing that up. But to your point, Councilman Johnson, I support this because I see the resources, right? And I also see the opportunity to partner with organizations such as Christ is the Answer. That's what CEDA stands for. And I truly believe with the local churches in that neighborhood, they will be partnering with Miss Alberta. I think it's a collaboration of the community coming together. So that's why I support that lease. And then, moreover, impacting our youth is critical. And you touched on something that really has been a catapult in my life is when you get the children, they're wet bricks, you get to mold them. And that's what's going to lead them and continue that relationship with the one and only true living God that I consider my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And there's no shame in that. So I seconded that motion for that. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Passes 4-1. We are now on new business, item number 1. And first and foremost, Miss Smith, go ahead and read the caption of the ordinance.
Ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance of, oh, I thought you said new business. Oh, yeah, we're not to new business. We're not to me yet.
Oh. Procurement's 2?
Yes, procurement has another item.
As you were, procurement's number 2. I guess I'm rushing into that other item. Procurement's item number 2, Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I'm going to ask our Public Works Director, Kevin Brinkley, come up, give a quick presentation, discuss this item and the reason we're here tonight. Also, Kevin, if you wouldn't mind touching on the philosophy, the Public Works philosophy around these types of requests, and this way council, community can understand. If council wants to augment, inform, or redirect our philosophy, they obviously can do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Morton. Kevin Brinkley, Public Works Director. You made me a little bit nervous when you said presentation. I don't have a presentation prepared, but I would love to speak about the philosophy and make sure that we're all on the same page. Projects like road widening or major construction projects in which we're going to seek federal or state funding to assist with that project require 3 phases. First phase is the PD&E phase. Second phase is the design phase. Third phase is the construction phase. We have to go through the PD&E and the design phase before we rise to the top of the list for any of the grant funds that we would apply for, because the people that are reviewing these grants and awarding them are generally looking for shovel-ready projects, and that requires you to go through the PD&E phase and then the design phase as well. PD&E phase is good for 5 years once it's completed. In this case, we're talking about the widening of Malabar, the west end of Malabar. The PD&E was completed and concurrence with FDOT received in the end of 2025. So that started our 5-year window to get through the design phase for this. That's what we're here for tonight. We did the RFQ, procurement handled the RFQ process for us, and we're requesting the ability to negotiate with the highest scoring vendor to do the design phase. We expect the design phase of this to take 3 years. So we've started the 5-year window on the PD&E. We expect the design phase to take roughly 3 years. And then we will be, once we are at 60% of the way through that design phase, we'll start applying for state and federal grants to help us cover the cost of the construction phase of it. But the philosophy here is, and the question presented to me from day one from the city manager's office is, how do we position the city of Palm Bay to be at the front of the line when it comes to state and federal grant funding to help build our infrastructure? So that's our philosophy.
Thank you. Any questions, council?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
I know the PD&E study wasn't done this way, but just learning the struggles we've gone in the past with Babcock. Like we did a PDE study on the entire replacement of Babcock Street, and now we're going back and breaking it into segments really for funding purposes. I personally believe that we should follow that same methodology with the Malabar Road. I believe we were looking at over 40-something million dollars a mile, $200 million, some crazy number for 4 miles. I feel like we should break up the design from Menton to Hurley and then Hurley to St. John's, Heritage Parkway, to show that so we can get funding bitten off in sections.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good approach, and I believe that we are going to be approaching the design in a way that we will be able to do construction in chunks to be able, you're right, to do the entire section, it's going to require a lot of drainage, addressing a lot of drainage issues and stormwater runoff. So it would be a large ticket item, and we would be able to break it up into sections.
Yeah, just wanted to be
Look at
clear,
yours.
like for,
No,
for
yeah, okay.
TPO meetings, like
Kick me if
when Mike and I, or Hammer and I are at TPO, like, hey, we're discussing phase one, which is Menton to Hurley, or whatever the professionals, you and the
No, I agree.
engineer determine, the best fit, but that's just a recommendation I had.
Any other questions? Okay. Any speaker cards, Deputy Mayor?
No, Mayor.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Hammer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Jaffe. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. We're now on item number 1 on the new business. Madam Smith?
Ordinance 2026-3, an ordinance of the City of Palm Bay, Brevard County, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 5, Legislative, Chapter 52, Boards, by creating a new subchapter to be known as the Citizens Accountability Task Force, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the City of Palm Bay Code of Ordinances, providing for a severability clause, providing for an effective date. And Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Before council considers this, I do want to state, of course, this was one of your initiatives. The ordinance that's that was initially in the packet started off with the emphasis on the budget, which is certainly still applicable, but subsequent to that, I did have conversations with you and with Mr. Morton as far as being able to extend it where it's not just budget. And so there are some changes to the ordinances, ordinance one as far as meetings, whereas before when it was just budgeting, we were looking at eliminated to February through June. The proposed change would have it meet monthly unless the board determines there is insufficient business to warrant a meeting. And because there was a shorter period of time, the absence period was a shorter time. Now we'd be looking at through a 12-month period. And consistent with having them be able to provide some assistance to the city manager, there would be an additional section as far as the duties and responsibilities, a section E, which would be to provide recommendations to the city manager upon the city manager's request that relate to the city manager's administration of city affairs. So there might be some things in which the city manager decides he wants to bring to the task force and have them work on. But certainly those items would be generated from the city manager. They wouldn't have a unlimited scope.
Yeah.
Another thing that the clerk's office would also like for you to consider, now that we are making this potentially a standing year-round board, is if council would like to set term limits for the members, and if so, what those limits would be.
Thank you, ma'am. So I appreciate that. So, gentlemen, first I'll start off with thanking you for allowing this to come forward. And just to share, this is a work in progress. And in that, the vision was to actually have a task force that can assist not only this council, but also city management in the budget process and one of the arguments I brought forward were we have NASA engineers and chief financial officers at L3 Harris, Lockheed Martin, that are all part of our community, and some of those talents, I met one that would be willing to sit on our board sitting on this task force and help through the budget process, but also with any other priorities that are operational efficiencies and such. And I would, in conversations with our city manager, I found that he would find that even useful to discuss strategies and different funding options and things of that nature. So that type of feasibility, this is all a work in progress. And so I'm encouraged by the dialogue that Mr. Morton provided. But even moreover, I'm even saying, hey, right now we could discuss on how we could even solidify this. So as far as term limits, I think maybe 2-year term limits, but that's open for discussion, whatever you guys would want to do. And so I'll start off with Councilman Langevin, and then I'll just move on down to Councilman Hammer and so on.
So specific to the term limits, or just in general about the board?
About the board and even the term limits. But if you look at, like she said, item E, right? Engage with the public when directed by city council through outreach efforts, review of community input related to budget process and feasibility and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we put a lot of work into this, and it looks really good. And I'm just going to go ahead and support it.
Thank you. Councilman Hammer?
I like it. It sounds a lot like what I was trying to do in my first month. So I'm going to be in agreement with it. The one thing I would say on the term limits, I would have the term limits coincide with our elections, because I know, as soon as somebody's elected, they're going to want their own person on there. So I would put their term limits to coincide with ours. And other than that, I'm thank you. Because I think it's, anytime we can have input from the public, I'm for it.
Thank you. Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, I'm with Councilman Hammer on that. If it could be aligned with with the terms of each council seat, and with the ability of council members being able to remove members if they want. Other than that, the only other thing I was thinking potentially was maybe even for them to be able to review ordinances that seem, obsolete or out of date.
I think you're spot on with those things.
City
Mr.
Attorney
Morton,
spoke. I might not be spot on. Wait a second.
Oh, no, it wasn't related to that. As far as the term limits, you all do have it where you pick members, but you all have also 2 at large. So if you want the 2 at large, what are we looking at as far as their term?
Well, those can be 2 years long.
Those can be 2 years.
Okay.
So, Mr. Morton, Councilman Johnson raised, they can even look at ordinances. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I have no thoughts. I'm open to whatever the public would like to discuss, and we'll figure out how to address those comments. I've said before, I believe our residents are our best tactical strategists in a lot of ways. So feedback is good, communication is good, engagement is good. So I think you guys will decide. I think you're onto something.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I have no additional comments, Mayor.
Thank you. So any speaker cards
No, Mayor.
on this one? All right, I need a motion.
What?
I was trying to figure out how
I'll
to.
be seconding you.
I didn't know if you wanted to pass the gavel.
Oh,
or,
no, I need a motion.
all right, okay. Sorry, Deputy Mayor was looking at the gavel. Sorry. All right, let me get serious. I apologize, Mayor. I make a motion to approve the Citizens Accountability Task Force with the revisions being made in regards to adding in ordinances to be reviewed and discussed, and with the appointing of council members, board members being aligned with their terms, as well as the at-large appointee. Sorry, I'm going off the brain. With the appointee of 2 at-large with 2-year term limits.
I'll second.
And And council members can remove their board members.
Yes, I'll second. Madam Attorney?
And does that motion also include those changes that I announced?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, and I second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. We're now on item number 2. Mr. Morton.
I'm going to, thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I'm going to do the wise thing and turn this over to our resident Building E expert, Dr. Brian Robinson. Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. Good evening, Council. Brian Robinson, Deputy City Manager. Bringing this item to you all. This is the third floor build-out for the new building, Building E. I just want to read a couple things here, and then I'm going to just provide a little bit of discussion on this item. So during the July 10th, 2025 budget workshop, this item was presented to you as a preliminary planning and construction estimate of $1.5 million. The intent there was to build out a full, have a full build out of the third floor. We went back and did some due diligence to come up with what would that look like. We worked with an architect to get some engineering drawings and which engineering estimates, and that came back a little bit higher than the 1.5 million that was approved at council. Like I said, that was before engineering drawings was provided to us. So what you saw at the December 4th council meeting was a proposal to do a partial build out, but this actually went forward as a full build out. So immediately once we figured out that we made a mistake, and I'm going to apologize for that we made a mistake of presenting this item as a full built out when it actually is a partial built out that was provided to council. This item is coming back to you for reconsideration. With that, I want to just kind of bring you to a couple options as we talk about here. It's very detailed in the staff memo. We look at the very first option, which was presented to you all. Option 1 was to move the finance and procurement team into the third floor. What we should have also included was that there are going to be some vacant spaces for future growth in that space. So because we didn't disclose that, we're bringing this item back to you all for full disclosure, that we are looking for an option to provide full built out. So option 1 would give us the ability to partner with the Building Enterprise Fund to be able to build out the additional offices that are in the rear of the space, as well as to complete a break room and a restroom that's also available for us to do. So that's option 1. I have a table that outlines what the funding would look like from a strategy perspective. The total construction cost that we saw when we got this back was 1.7 million, and I break down on the table what the additional funding would look like. That was option 1. Option 2 is to perhaps relocate the several units within the Public Works division, and that would include the customer service team, the engineering team, surveying team, inspections, business operations, stormwater operations, administrative staff to Building E. Well, that would mean that would allow pretty much at this point, if you move that, if you do option 2, which is to move the Public Works team over, then you pretty much would have a one-stop shop for everything customer service on site. So again, we're just trying to bring all the options to you all, for you all to kind of give us direction on where you'd like to go. The third option we also looked at was to possibly partner with a business to perhaps lease the space out as a business center, and then we provide some stats of potentially what that number would look like from a monthly perspective from a revenue standpoint. We also look at option 4 and option 4A, which would provide, leave the space as a shell space for future build out. Well, the only concern that we have with that is that if you leave it for too long, construction costs will increase, and so we'll end up paying a lot more later. So at this point, what we're looking for is whatever option council decide to take, we're not going to pretty much make it whatever decision you all make. We won't move forward without making sure we competitively bid whatever option you choose and bring back a finished product to you all to make a decision on. So what we're looking for tonight is a discussion from council or direction from council as what way you would like us to proceed in completing a full build-out of the third floor.
So I have a few questions, and then I'll tee it over to you, sir. Option two, and I think Deputy Mayor mentioned about going, getting Public Works, selling some of our key locations on major thoroughfares as commercial, right? Those commercial. So let's go, I'm going by that premise, right? Option two, where we could relocate some of our Public Works employees, right? I'm going by that. So my question is, can we combine something along those lines? Because at the same time, it was my understanding that we were creating room in Building B for our law enforcement officials. That was the whole premise.
That is
of the-
correct.
Yeah.
So a portion of this is, so depending on what decision you choose tonight, so option one, which would be to transition the finance and procurement team to the third floor, would actually allow half of Building B, which is the east side of Building B, that entire half, first floor and second floor, will become available immediately to the police department for expansion. If you choose option two, then the police department will only be able to use the space that was previously occupied by the IT department.
So there's only space in option two for X amount.
That's correct.
So why couldn't we, I'm just thinking outside the box here. Why couldn't we have those folks in procurement, right?
And finance,
move
there's
them-
two departments upstairs, so procurement and finance is actually
Okay,
upstairs.
why can't we have those two, move them down to where utilities used to be in Building A or
Building A.
Building A, first deck?
So, a
'Cause
couple things
that'll be
is,
open, right?
I don't think we'll have sufficient office spaces to accommodate both teams. However, if we would have to remodify or remodel that entire space, which would also be a cost as well, to redesign that space to be able to fit, but it would not accommodate the entire finance team and the procurement team. I'll tell you why. The initial thought was to bring the finance team, which is the budget office, which is in Building A, and also the accounts receivable office, which is a part of the finance office, that is in Building B. So we were trying to bring them both together so they will be together for the very first time as a department, because they've been always separated. So that was the thought process of bringing those two departments together, as well as to bringing the procurement team over into Building E. So that was the thought process.
But finance today has space in Building A. And if you remove those, doesn't that free up their space and utilities?
Yes, so
Why couldn't we?
you could probably do
why-
a split, but we would have to go back and work that to
You see-
kind of, yes.
you hear what I'm
But we
saying?
would have to do some modification to what exists today is what I'm saying to you. We'd have to do some remodeling to make that work.
Okay, all right. Councilman Johnson?
No, I was right there with you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor, in regards to option two. Based off our conversation at the budget workshop, I was thinking like, oh, wow, this is pretty convenient. So my question was, would choosing option two move us in that direction where we can utilize that space as surplus property and then get something commercial there? Would that potentially move us there? Before I just assumed, I wanted to ask that question.
I'll let Mr. Morton speak to that.
So I think it could. I think it's a path. It's not an instant, result. We're redesigning currently, as you're aware, a fire station to push it to the back of the property, create a commercial out parcel to help pay for site work and other things, right? We're trying to maximize the value of what we have to our residents. I think there's definitely an opportunity. I think potentially we might have to relocate fleet. I don't know what site remediation. We still have a laydown yard, so it definitely starts moving if that's the will of the council, moving us in that direction. vacating that building might present an opportunity to lease it as is. Again, those are questions we'd have to explore a little more, but if the ultimate goal is to, turn what's on a very busy and growing commercial or potential to be commercial corridor near that intersection, then you're taking a step in the right direction, I believe.
Okay. And then last question, because it was, the mayor's right, we did have this in mind in regards to our police department. What is the future expansion? Has it been thought to, I don't know if it's possible, but to build up in regards to the current police department, or is that not?
So I think police departments, siting requires analysis of two paradigms, right? So one, it's going to come to you guys, but we're kicking off an analysis next month with the nationally premier recognized organization called CPSM, Center for Public Safety Management. And the first phase is they really focus in on using CAD-driven data, so our call log data. And what they will do is segment all of our calls into order priority. We'll see response times in essentially real time in a graph. They'll also help us assist with deployment models to give alternative staffing models for better efficiency to our police department. It will also, look at future staffing needs, again, per call volume, and try to come up with that number. So that's going to start giving us some initial existing data, but it's also going to help us project into the future a little bit, because part of a future police station is going to be what are our space needs now and into the future. With that data, we then would roll into a preliminary architectural analysis to say this is the siting requirements for a modern police station in this century with all the security, data separation, CGIS, all the different requirements we have, evidence and holding, whatever we decide to do, of course, has to be built to modern standards, compliant with rules and policies and DOJ guidelines, as you can imagine, a ton of things that go into this. Once we have those two assessments to understand what the size needs to be, the scope, service, the site size, all those things, then I would suggest that we look at that two-tiered data-driven approach for future siting of a police department, which would be where are we locating it in best proximity to have the, right, you wouldn't put it in let's just say you wouldn't put it in a far, southeast corner of the city. So then your far opposite direction is a 30-minute drive, right? Also, citizens' input into this. What do they expect? What kind of service? What does it do to an area if we locate a police station? Noise, traffic, right? All the positives and negatives. So my understanding is we were set on a path by this council, and this is what I believe currently, that this was an interim transition to exceed no longer than 5 years with this space home, hopefully shorter, but that we were also to start that process of speccing, designing, engaging you as a council and the community. What does it look like? Where's it going to go? How much is it going to cost? And what do we need to meet the needs of our community? So hopefully that answered your question, sir.
Does that conclude your questions? Councilman Hammer and then Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I saw the 1.6 is coming from the ARPA interest, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What is the timeline just to wait for the interest to build up to pay for this 100% with interest?
I mean, pretty much the longer it sits there, it'll continue to accrue interest.
So do you think the cost is getting higher than the interest that's building?
It's kind of hard to say until we actually go back and do the study. So if you choose an option 2, let's per se, we'll have to go back and do a redesign to make it fit the space for Public Works, and then we'll bring it back to you. Our goal is to do this as quickly as possible and not to have it too long to where construction costs super exceed, and then we'll find ourselves in a situation where there's a gap. So our goal is to get direction from you all tonight and start that process almost immediately.
Okay, and my other option is this, or my other thought. With Public Works moving out, Public Works that deals with the public isn't in the modules, they're in the front. And let me remind you, that front is a hardened building. It's hardened with fiber, and it's hardened for storms. As I was a kid, whenever there were storms, that's the building that we went into. Wouldn't you be able to designate that as the temporary fire station? Because it is about a half a mile from where we're going to build the other one. Couldn't you designate that as the temporary fire station instead of doing that until we build out there? So you would have that Public Works coming there. Then you can designate the front building of Public Works as a temporary fire station. I mean, it's not like the fire trucks aren't parked there already.
So we're certainly open to a lot of ideas, and that's why this discussion tonight. I'm not sure if I can give you a confirmative answer to that, but I'll let Mr. Morton if he wanted to add to that. But I think we're open to ideas that there's a potential that we could do some research and come back to you and see what is the potential to do something like that.
Mr. Morton?
Certainly, we're here to take ideas. you know, I would say we're spending a lot of money, unfortunately, on a temporary fire station that's going to be throwaway right now. It's you know, it is what it was. We're put in that position. So, you know, it would require analysis it's not a no, just to your point, sir. It would require probably an architectural analysis, feasibility, traffic pattern analysis, may need to install a temporary emergency signal. I mean, right? It's just, what is the risk reward? What is the ultimate end goal? So yes, great creative idea. If that's a path we want to go down, we'll happily go down and try to bring back the best information. And then answering your other question, we did the ROI interest calculation. That was one of my first questions. What is the time if we let it sit? And one, it would take a bit, and two, I think we do have, and correct me, Mr. Robinson, this is what I'm fuzzy on at the moment, but I also think we have a deadline to expend those ARPA funds, which was, what we noticed was the amount of time we'd wait, we would lose those monies by not committing them and spending them on a project. But that is an excellent question. Thank you.
So, okay, you wanted to discuss about the ARPA funds because you weighed in as well? Okay, so Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So, you know, I like option 2 because I believe it brings a lot of efficiency to the operations. I think it solves some of PD's issue, not all of it. I understand that there's still going to be issues housing the expansion of the police department. I'm all on board looking at a temporary and an even more permanent great solution for them. Some of the concerns I have with Public Works is that I've been in those modulars. Like,
yeah, man.
they're horrible.
Yeah,
they're horrible, and then we're out of regulatory compliance with permits. Like, how can we ask our community and building community to be in compliance when we're not in compliance? So I think the optics there are bad. And then as far as what does that property look like on Malabar Road, you know, that remains fleet. You know, if the city did decide to put that up for sale, it would probably take 6 to 8 months to get it, you know, under contract, and then probably another 180 days of due diligence, and then ultimately closing. You know, there's a potential for the city to actually sell it and lease it back while the potential buyer is going through all their entitlement processes, design, financing, the whole 9 yards, which allows us really 3 or 4 years to find a home for fleet. So I don't think there's a major concern there to find a home for fleet. So I'll be in support of option 2 tonight.
Copy that. Councilman Hammer wants to weigh in again. Councilman Langevin, I want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, while that was being discussed, let me remind everybody that Public Works isn't just the portables. Public Works is 600-plus vehicles. It is the staging ground for dirt, sand, millings, limestone, 56 stone, everything that Public Works uses on a daily basis, our machines, our equipment. And I want to say it's 104 employees that are employed back there. So it's not just that building, behind it is also that, not to mention 3 35,000-gallon fuel tanks. So that's several $1 million in itself. Just the program, the faster, the gas boy, that's 1.2, 1.3 million alone. So I get the administrative side. That's going to be, you know, cool. The whole front with that, I get that. But the whole property, I think, is a lot bigger endeavor than what everybody's thinking it is. There's a lot of stuff to be moved.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. Councilman Langevin?
No, I don't have any input right now, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, so ultimately, what I hear option 2 from three council members here. What option are you comfortable with, Councilman Hammer?
I'm okay with option 2. I can see option 2, and then I can see the opening up for other options to that. I think it's a good start. I think it's a good option. I was a little kid, like I'm talking 5 or 6 years old when those portables were put in. That guy right there, and my dad put them in.
Well, I'm not going to ask how old you are right now. So.
It was 40 years ago. So
Copy that.
Oh my gosh.
Copy that. All right, so no speaker cards. I need a motion.
Real quick, Mayor, I guess I had one more question for staff I just thought of, but I want to try to understand the procurement process because, you know, W&J built 90% of the building.
Yes.
And I don't feel like it was completely fair how like the bidding process went. It was like apples to oranges on the third floor when we voted on it a few weeks ago. And then I strongly feel like it should go back out for a rebid.
I wholeheartedly concur.
And secondly,
Yeah.
for one of the primary reasons is I'm not that comfortable having two different contractors touch that building and possibly voiding warranty work or not having a full compliance of warranty on the third floor, because a lot of the mechanical systems are already roughed in, a lot of things are already touched by W&J, and then we're asking another contractor to come in and do the tenant build out. So I'm concerned with the warranty, and then I'm also concerned that they weren't necessarily treated fairly when they've been such an excellent partner to the city, so.
So to resolve that, open it up again, or are you thinking that there was a waste of effort trying to?
Yeah, my recommendation would be to just put it back out for a rebid.
Put it back out?
Yeah, apples to apples, scope of work is transparent.
Copy that. Not to exceed that initial bid. Okay, I'm good there. Mr. Morton?
I think you're already settled in. I just was going to clarify in his opening remarks, Brian, mentioned that absolutely is our intention, to go back out, for transparency and for equality, make sure apples are bid. That was no matter what you decided, we were taking it back out.
Okay. So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we go with option 2 for the
gonna
building
second.
E floor construction.
I'll second. Any further discussion, gentlemen? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. We're now on item number 3. Mr. Morton.
Get squared away here. All right, joint resolution. Thank you. I'm going to do a lot of reading, so I beg your forgiveness in advance. So this is the consideration of a possible joint resolution with Brevard County for condemnation of an approximate 3,500-foot right-of-way from Forestar USA Real Estate Group for the extension of the St. John's Heritage Parkway. Mr. Beach, can we pull up that ACE study guide map? We'll get to that in a second. So what we're requesting tonight is just direction from council regarding this proposed joint resolution between the city of Palm Bay and Brevard County addressing this proposed condemnation. It would be the continuation of the St. John's Heritage Parkway through the Machado property, up Sartori Avenue, and would include related companion right-of-way dedications, utility dedications. Those would need to be separate agreements before, anything else is executed. They'd have to be designed and compatible with that. The theory and background is that St. John's Heritage Parkway is a regionally significant transportation corridor intended to improve east-west mobility ultimately through the city, enhance emergency evacuation capacity, reduce congestion on parallel arterial roadways, including Babcock Street. And as you know, by way of history, Brevard County completed an alternative corridor evaluation, called the ACE, and that evaluated several potential St. John's Heritage Parkway alignments from Babcock to Malabar. The ACE study was adopted by both Brevard County and Palm Bay following public hearings. The adopted ACE alternatives, and we have one up here, I don't know if we can just zero in on the ACE study to the right there. That's to my right. Yes, sir? You want to go down a little bit? That'll kind of show. So this was one of the many alternatives considered, which sort of mirrors what we're looking at tonight in terms of the total proposed dedication, in addition with the possible condemnation. This alignment has since been reinforced through several city approvals, including annexations, land use changes, rezonings, and acceptance of dedicated right-of-way segments associated with private development, most recently along that Willowbrook segment as we continue to find that path to move the parkway to the west. Portions of the SJHP consistent with this alignment have already been constructed or dedicated or in some form of process thereof, as you all know. And without this or any other similar connection, there could be additional pathways. The St. John Heritage Parkway cannot be completed. It's got to obviously loop around the city, and there's still other segments that would need to be dedicated and or acquired, right? This does not complete that project. However, at a joint meeting of Palm Bay City staff and Brevard County staff on December 12th, a joint resolution was discussed that would formalize coordination and cooperation between the city of Palm Bay and Brevard County to secure the remaining right-of-way necessary to extend the St. John's Heritage Parkway westward from its current terminus through and around north through Satari Avenue to the Melbourne-Tillman Water Control District C38 Canal. There are some exhibits here, of course. Exhibit 6 depicts the approximate location and limits. If you would go to that other exhibit, please, Mr. Beach. And if we could zoom in on that purple area. Thank you, sir. And that exhibits the approximate location, again, just a map that was submitted of the proposed segment that would be subject of a proposed condemnation. It also shows the depiction of the more or less proposed dedication or continuation of right-of-way that would be companion with this, intended, again, to connect the St. John's Heritage Parkway continuous from this corridor through to the other southern boundary portion of the city of Palm Bay along the MTWCD C38 canal. And of course, you already looked at the map of the ACE study. The proposed St. John's Heritage Parkway extension, in general, is consistent with what I have believed to be, from my reading, consistent with the long-range transportation vision anyway, anticipated in the ACE study, and could represent a significant addition to the regional roadway network. This extension, again, would continue the parkway beyond Meadowbrook Road toward the corporate limits of Palm Bay, ultimately, hopefully provide enhanced connectivity to Interstate 95 and help with traffic alleviation in that quadrant of the city. At the same time, in fairness, proposal presents several policy considerations for the council. While the extension may provide public benefits related to mobility, evacuation, capacity, and congestion, it also has the high likelihood of facilitating additional development opportunities in this area that would further stress transportation systems, utilities, environmental resources, public services with both the city and unincorporated areas of Brevard County. It's just a reality, no shade thrown at the proposal. This joint draft resolution contemplates acquisition of Exhibit A as a right-of-way segment through negotiation, dedication, et cetera, or if necessary, potentially eminent domain. And a private party has agreed and indicated the willingness to pay all costs associated with the acquisition, including legal, appraisal, engineering, condemnation expenses, et cetera. That would also need to be an agreement that would be companion to any decision made. If the council elects to move forward with the depiction as shown on Exhibit 6, again, we would require all of that right-of-way to be dedicated together and at once, not at some future date that would be unknown or unguaranteed. Moving forward with the proposed joint resolution would require additional companion actions, as I've mentioned, and including but not limited to, and I'm sure our city attorney may want to weigh in on those, but an intergovernmental agreement with Brevard County, defining roles, responsibilities, and coordination related to any right-of-way acquisition, acceptance of the continuation of the right-of-way dedication, any detailed agreements clearly assigning financial responsibilities for acquisition, condemnation, associated professional services to be funded by the private party, legal review, of course, to confirm statutory compliance and the existence of a clear, defined public purpose and clear public benefit should eminent domain be pursued, and consideration of long-term growth management infrastructure, utility, and maintenance implications associated with any extensions of the parkway. This joint draft resolution does not authorize any construction, to be clear, nor does it approve any specific development proposal. This is again, to hopefully execute the vision of the ACE study and the continuation. Council is asked at this stage just to inform us if there is a desire to move forward with this activity, and there are several proposed options. They're not meant to be exhaustive, nor they're meant to give you advice or be parochial, just calling out some opportunities for discussion. I will say in advance of that, the Brevard County Commission is scheduled to consider a similar, I have not seen a draft, but I'm told a similar joint resolution or similar conversation at their public meeting scheduled on January 27th, 2026, making a timely policy direction or some guidance to us relevant, I believe, at this time. So potential actions, again, not exhaustive, not parochial. Provide direction to proceed with the draft joint resolution, direct staff to negotiate and return companion agreements as discussed and figure out what those are for a future council meeting consideration. Of course, request any revisions, conditions, or additional safeguards or additional thoughts prior to any further consideration. Decline to proceed with the joint resolution at this time. Or again, since this seems to be a companion resolution, a pause, signaling your direction, but also a pause until we know the disposition and if we are moving in partnership still with Brevard County and that their duly elected commission in a public hearing finds the same public needs still exist. And of course, in your packet, we have a joint resolution that was submitted to us. We have not edited that or altered that. That was a tactical decision not to spend a lot of time until we knew council's disposition, requirements, considerations, or concerns. And of course, you have the ACE study map, a full extension plan, and several road profiles, et cetera, along with some draft right-of-way, and other easement dedications provided to us, all for your review and consideration tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, we got speaker cards?
Bill Batten.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street Southwest. I've got 4 items to address with this one. The first one, I know this 3,000 square feet isn't what's coming up in contact with Deer Run, but I'm curious, were they considering having any connection from Deer Run into the St. John's Heritage Parkway? That's the first question. All right. The next, item number 2, was when I'm looking at the 2 options, it's a personal preference. I would prefer to see less 90-degree bends, because if it's supposed to be a main thoroughfare, curving arcs make a lot more sense instead of 90-degree bends. So that's my personal preference. I'm not sure how that's going to work out in landmass buys and stuff like that, but the 90-degree bends, well, I can just speak for Bayside Lakes. They don't like it. Item number 3. The St. John's Heritage Parkway, I don't know how you could use in this for this consideration, intergovernmental consideration, is the compound is part of that development. That's what all this is all about. And if we're trying to promote the compound, how can we be working that somehow into there? And I didn't see any of that in this packet. And item number 4 is since we're working with the county on this, they have a 3,500 home development coming in on Babcock. So all that's going to want to come up here off of Babcock, right onto the St. John's Heritage Parkway, right through the middle of Palm Bay to get to the west side of the city. I know I'm not saying don't be friendly with your other government identities, but we've been shafted too many times. So I'm just saying keep it in mind that they're pushing for this one, what they've got coming down just south that wants to come in and cut through the middle of Palm Bay because it's a shortcut. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
Andy Machado.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, City Manager. I've brought something before you. Was not a resolution in necessity. It was a resolution in last resort. I have personally tried to purchase the easement required to complete the St. John's Heritage Parkway for 2 years. Our contractor made a down payment of a significant amount of money to buy it. It was disregarded. And I look back, so you just approved a annexation of a piece of property, Willowbrook Farms, and the engineer there testified, well, St. John's Heritage Parkway, it probably won't happen in my lifetime. I think he's 50 years old, so I hope we'll see the St. John's Heritage Parkway before his lifetime's over. So I'm offering something that's not a resolution for necessity, but is a resolution of last resort. I'm willing to pay to condemn the piece of parkway that's required to bring it to my property. I'm also willing to bring the parkway from where it's been extended to my property and to dedicate the easement for the St. John Heritage Parkway throughout my property and construct that 2 3/4 miles of roadway. Now, in addition to that, that's where the corridor study stops. But 6 miles of this parkway are on Jim Sartori's property and mine. We're looking to make things happen, not be obstructionists. The state didn't put up $25 million for an interchange. Palm Bay didn't put up $17 million for a parkway to provide a driveway for D.R. Horton. So my proposition to you is that is what I'll do. We've set it forth we expect you to act on it, not to look at the necessity of it, because it is a necessity. It's a necessity for me, for Palm Bay, for Brevard, for the taxpayers. Now, there's no 90 degrees in what I'm proposing, and we've stopped at the west end of my property. And it'll continue there. There's two options. We'll either go straight or it'll curve up at that point. I've offered, in addition to that we will give you an easement along Satori Boulevard, which is a private road, that you can tie north to the existing roads and tie all the way up to San Filippo. That will give you a necessary tie to the parkway, temporary until other things happen.
Thank you.
Now, in addition to that, there was a question raised about utilities. I have a permit and a vested right to the utilities to the
Mr. Machado,
northwest section of my property.
Your time is concluded.
Pardon?
Your time is concluded.
It's concluded?
Yes, sir. Yeah, time. Time's up.
You don't want to hear anymore? Okay.
Well, you had 3 minutes, sir.
Okay.
So now it's time for the next speaker. Thank you.
Tuck Farrell.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome, but I hope you consider it, because it's a realistic thing. It solves everybody's problems, and that's
Thank you, sir.
something it is.
Thank you. Mr. Farrell,
Tuck
you're
Farrell.
next.
Good to see you, council and mayor. Thank you for letting me speak. I was one of the people that helped start the Parkway originally, and Joe Wickham was involved and some other people. This started in the 80s. We were trying to do something to help the transportation system, and some of the people were kind of visionaries, and they wanted to bring the Parkway, and now it goes from the airport to Malabar Road, and I think it's really going to be a benefit to the county. Now, when they built Wickham Road, they said it was a road to nowhere. People laughed about it. And it's needed. We need transportation connectivity and corridors. But this is a more limited access. So it's going to go faster and it'll be more efficient. They're not driveways like Wickham. But we need this road badly. And I'd like to see it completed. Because the circulation, and it's going to, there's already population there. You know, Palm Bay, we need the circulation there. We need to complete this system, and we need to get it to 95, because people, the workforces, and people that live and need work are going to live west of Palm Bay like they do now, and they're going to want to get to 95, and they don't want to use Babcock. This is an efficient way to get people in the South County and in that part of Palm Bay up to the workforce areas, to Harris and wherever else they want to go. So I would like to see this completed. That's why I'm here. And I'd appreciate your thought about that, whatever you can do. And I'm trying to work with Mr. Machado and anyone else to facilitate getting this job done, because I think it's a needed thing. And we've already done so much, but we need to get this part done. And I'd like to see the whole connection done all the way through, and I hope we can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Scott Knox.
I am Scott Knox, representing Rolling Meadows. I'm here primarily to issue any opinions you might have need of for the legal issues that might come up in this case. I heard the word legal go through the staff presentation, so if there is a legal question that you have that I can answer, I'll be happy to do that. But I can tell you I've handled probably in my almost 50 years of this job or profession, but probably about 100 of these cases with an eminent domain involved. And there's a process you have to go through. what we're asking you to do tonight is just to move forward to consider doing that process. That process has about 12 steps. I'm not going to go through them all, but the first 5 all deal with putting the property owner on notice of what's going to happen, how much money that he's going to get if he agrees to the appraisal that comes forward that's required. And if he doesn't agree, there's a whole negotiation process set up. So all of this has to take place before you even file a suit. So I think it's well worth everybody's while to go forward and at least consider going into that process. Because one of the things in that process also is once you start negotiating, you have 30 days to come up with an agreement, after which the suit can be filed. So there's a little bit of pressure on both parties to get it done. So I think it's a good process. I think it will work. I know we've tried to talk to Forestar before about coming up with some negotiated settlement to buy that right-of-way, and it hasn't worked out so far. So perhaps with a little bit of pressure on them, it will work out. Thank you. If there's any questions around the legal issues, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
That concludes any cards, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Morton, I know you mentioned that you met with the county on this particular issue, and you've been working alongside of them. So they haven't made a determination at this point, right? They're going to meet January 27th? Did I catch that right?
I do not have that confirmed, but that is what I was told, that it would be on their January 27th agenda.
Is it on their agenda? That would have been my next
I have
question.
not seen it on their agenda
We haven't seen it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I called the county attorney this morning, and he assured me it's on the 27th. But his position is that the city has to act on it before they're going to act on it. So if you don't do something tonight, they're not going to move forward with it.
Well, I think that's putting the cart before the horse. Mr. Morton, what are your recommendations? I was leaning towards pausing to see where they're, I know we have to work out these conditions, right? But I was leaning towards the pause and seeing where their stand is and how we move forward with this, because this is in their realm. And then we could provide feedback, or how do you recommend we proceed at this point?
I hate to throw Ms. Smith under the bus. That might be a better question. Again, I'm asking you guys for policy direction, and I'm hesitant to give. I don't have an opinion. Honestly, I do not have an opinion. Now, if we're just talking simply the partnership approach, my expectation or vision from our very first meeting is that we would do this. We would know we had collaboration. We would establish the clear public benefit by the resolutions of 2 public bodies. That was my initial ultimate vision, that there would be this alignment of coming together. Originally, my understanding from conversations with the county was they had no objection to moving forward. However, they wanted Palm Coast to take the lead, and whatever that
Palm Bay,
sorry, whatever that means, of Palm Bay taking the lead. I knew that would happen at one point. So I'm hesitant to provide any other opinions other than that is a policy consideration for you guys to give us advice on.
Okay. As I said, I'm leaning towards the pause, see what they're saying, because in a spirit of cooperation, I think it starts with the county as well. So, Councilman Hammer?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm not sure who this is for, but why are we even doing this? Why isn't Forestar on board with connecting a multi-billion-dollar parkway? Why are we even doing this? Why can't we come to an agreement to where, hey, you have access to your property? Thank you. I'm just confused, what in the discussion got us to here? Because if I'm sitting here and I'm them and I can see, hey, 3,500 feet of my road's about to get paved and I have access to my property now. I just don't understand the basics on why. So.
Yeah. Copy. Conceptually, I want to share, Mr. Machado shared in his proposal, it's going to alleviate a lot of that traffic currently right now if we get that right away. So conceptually, I like the idea. And I want to go on record as saying that. At the same time, I'm in the position of pausing and seeing what the county's talking about. But your perspective is spot on as well. What's going on with that? But I've got everybody digging in. I got the city manager and then Deputy Mayor Jaffe, and then subsequently you.
If it's appropriate, I don't know if I don't want to be out of turn. I can answer Mr. Hammer's question. At least from a staff perspective, how we got to this point was when the Willowbrook subdivision was coming online, I had very candid one-on-one conversations with a representative from Forestar, and I asked that question. He said, what's your ultimate goal to even have an alignment? I said, we have a basic alignment, several iterations of an alignment. My goal, as I understand it, is to go ahead and figure out how to acquire the additional segments of the parkway. And it was expressed at that point that there was no interest in continuing the parkway at this point for several reasons. One of them is the investment they've made was what they said, and the delays in getting the water treatment reclamation facility online has continued to hold up their project. They thought they'd be, further along. They want to protect their investment, all the standard stuff you'd expect. Just stating the conversation, again, not giving you an opinion. So there was that attempt of saying, how can we move this forward? It was indicated to me there was no interest at that point to have any additional conversations in respects to dedication until their project was further along and our WRF was online. So I had closed that door. Mr. Machado had come to me and said, would you entertain condemnation? I said, no, there's no public benefit that I saw at that point because it was just the 3,500-foot segment. Mr. Machado went away, did a lot of work apparently, not by my request, came back with what, again, now appears to serve the goal of the ACE study. That's why I agreed to bring it forward for a conversation tonight to let council dissect that. And then I did get a phone call today, believe it was Monday or Tuesday, now from a board member, and I believe also the legal representative of Forestar USA, Mr. Bain, who sits on their executive board. I believe is also their legal counsel. And his words to me today were, if council decides to move forward, please call me so that we can have a discussion and/or negotiation of how this can end up in everyone's best interest. So it has definitely generated that discussion. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to intimate or guess or assume what that means, other than that I was asked to please give him a call depending on the outcome of tonight. So I'm just trying to give you the history of where I'm at and why we're here from a staff perspective.
So basically, the public benefit is 2 3/4 miles of the 6 miles we need paved, we don't have to pay for to get paved.
Well, in my opinion, Mr. Beach, can you bring up the original ACE study map again? Is rather than be what originally to me appeared like a driveway for the Rolling Meadows project, you've got that entire, in essence, dedication that completes at least, again, one alternative corridor that was evaluated in that ACE study there from that blue line where the pink property is, extending west, south, and then, north along Satori Boulevard. To someone else's comment, Mr. Satori is willing to dedicate that and some utility easements as well that would help serve. That is not proposed, that north stretch, to be the final alignment. His request was, I'll get it on record and I'll get the dedications done. I would also, he said, I would also like to be willing to adjust, especially the south and north corners, once he, if ever, right, decides what his development plans could or couldn't be on his property, right, just to preserve some flexibility. But we would have a dedicated route in any regard that we could proceed forward with on the road. Again, notwithstanding any future alignment changes or course corrections that might better serve everybody.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
So gentlemen, I've actually been working on this for a year now, and I see the value in it. That's why there was minimal staff cost and time involved in it. And then, Mr. Councilman Hammer, you asked, why isn't Forestar paving or dedicating the 3,500 feet after their property? In my opinion, it's creating a spike strip, which prevents any future road access to the north or to the west, which, in my opinion, just allows them to sell more of their homes at a higher price, limiting any fair market competition in that part of Palm Bay. And I think Mr. Machado's, as he mentioned, this is a method of last resort. He's tried everything. He's exhausted all the options with Forestar development, and at the end of the day, like, if they come to an agreement, like Forestar is going to get paid fair market value on it. It has to be done through an appraisal. That's part of the process. There's an appraisal done. And then, Mr. Machado is going to pay and actually build that road all the way to the west, which I think is a tremendous benefit to the city. In my opinion, it's over $25 million in improvements. And at the end of the day, this is a city road. We actually don't need any involvement or participation from the county at all. Palm Bay, if we pass the resolution tonight, satisfies the next steps moving forward. Having the county participate is just kind of just a show of unity because parts of St. John's Heritage Parkway have been county historically. So I just want to make that clarification.
Councilman Langevin?
Yeah, so I see the benefits, of course. My only concern is, what we're really voting on is more houses at the end of the day. So while, yes, it's good that we're getting part of the St. John's Heritage Parkway, it's not connecting the St. John's Heritage Parkway, and we don't have a plan to do that. So you're still going to have a road that essentially goes to nowhere, but it's going to allow thousands of more houses to be built in the south at a quicker rate, and the rest of our infrastructure is not ready for that. We don't have a way yet to pay for the connection of the St. John's Heritage Parkway to be prepared for that. We're not ready to widen Babcock right this second. So, while there's positives, there's certainly negatives as well, and I just wanted to point those out. So, in my opinion, at this moment, the negatives outweigh the positives, so I'm going to be a no.
Copy that. So, like I said, I'm good with pausing. I like the idea, and I'll tell you, the fact that it could alleviate even if we continue to that southeast corridor and start funneling some of that traffic out onto 95. But I want to take a pause. I do want to see how the county's going. In a spirit of collaboration, that's how I'm feeling right now. So I would prefer we do that, but what's the board's pleasure? Councilman Johnson?
I'm fine with moving forward, Mayor. Also, reason being, I've been down this road before where we were trying to wait on the county, and the county just was trying to wait us out. I talked about it previously in regards to an election cycle in regards to the ILA with St. John Heritage Parkway and everything. But I do feel more comfortable about this. The 1,000 homes are going to come regardless. So that's going to happen whether this is approved or not. So this is, to me, this is us trying to get back ahead. While there is much more to do, but I feel this gives us more of an advantage instead of a disadvantage.
Okay, there's a lot to be discussed, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be discussed. So, Councilman Hammer?
It's still on us to approve those homes. We can still wait till the infrastructure catches up before these homes are approved. The fact is, we're getting $25 million worth of road done that nobody in our city has to pay for. I mean, other than if it does connect to the end of, I think it's Toledo or something. If it connects there and it alleviates it, yes, it'll help the community a little bit, but $25 million of road getting paid for that we don't have to worry about, I'm okay with that. But let me remind everybody, this is how this parkway started before. This, from Babcock to the interchange, was supposed to be paid for by somebody else and not us. So, I'm not going to try to remind you of the past, but remember the past. So let's make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's. I am going to be in approval of moving forward, but I do want to remind everybody, it wasn't very long ago we were doing the same thing, and we let it get us. So I'm going to be in approval, but
okay, you want to
I'm going to be in very high scrutiny of things that move forward on it.
Okay, so Councilman Jaffe, I know you worked on this, or Deputy Mayor Jaffe, you worked on this for a year. and you're very comfortable with this, and how does it affect Forestar and how we're moving forward?
Yeah, I mean.
And sending the message to
Yeah,
the,
I mean, I'm
to the
comfortable,
county?
right? I mean, I'm in the home building industry, and, you know,
Right.
Forestar is not going to be happy with with the work I've done on this, and, you know, that's not the point. The point is, I think this is in the greater benefit of the city. The fact is, if we don't take action now on this 3,500 feet, when can we ever take action on it? Whether the homes are coming now or later or not, St. John's Heritage Parkway needs to get built, and without this 3,500 feet, it's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right?
Right.
So like,
Right.
take the opportunity when we can and move on, and then figure out the next
Right.
problem, the next
What-
solution.
The next step.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and-
so, you know, I've dealt with Thad Altman's office.
Yeah.
I know he's on board. So,
So Thad Altman, the chairman of
correct.
the board?
Correct.
Okay.
So, if I can, I'd like to make a motion to approve this joint resolution with Brevard County for condemnation of the 3,500 feet of right-of-way from Forestar USA Real Estate Group.
I got a motion by Councilman,
Second.
Deputy Mayor Jaffe, seconded by Councilman Johnson. Any further comments, Deputy Mayor?
No, sir.
Councilman Johnson? Councilman Hammer? Okay, I'm calling the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You sold me on it. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. We're now on council reports. Councilman Langevin.
Well, so I got a couple things. I'll start with the sappy one that everyone's expecting. 4:30 in the afternoon Tuesday. Sorry I couldn't make it. I tried, but the baby took a little longer. So we had a baby girl, my first kid. So
Yeah, congratulations, man.
just to clarify, she's got at least 16 years so she can drive on the road. So we didn't add another driver, but to the city of Palm Bay. But that's the first one. So yeah, obviously I'm super happy, super excited, a little tireder than usual, but really good things are happening. So Councilman Johnson was praying with me it would be a boy, but we're still equally blessed that it's a girl and it's part of God's plan. So that's all that matters.
Well, that just opens up other opportunities, doesn't it, sir?
We just got to keep trying.
Yes, sir.
And then the other thing I wanted to do tonight, and I do want to get done with this quick and go home and hold my baby, but the one thing I do want to do tonight is recognize something here in the state of Florida. And, you know, obviously Monday was Martin Luther King Day. It's a federal holiday. He's actually born January 15th. That was his birthday, but we like to celebrate it on a Monday, and that gives us a nice 3-day weekend. So, you know, obviously, and I'm sure I read Councilman Hammer's post about it. So obviously we celebrate Martin Luther King. He's an American hero. And I think a lot of people have done a great job of highlighting him. So I don't want this to detract from that whatsoever. But on January 19th, every single year, on January 19th, another great American was born. And this was the son of an American Revolutionary War hero. And because of this, there's actually a state holiday, and we call it Lee Jackson Day. On January 19th, General Robert E. Lee was born, and on January 21st, General Stonewall Jackson was born. And these men, Robert E. Lee, he was born to a Revolutionary War hero. His dad was actually General Washington's right-hand man. He married into the Washington family. At a young age, he went to West Point and graduated second in his class. Became a amazing military general, fought as an American officer, staff officer in the Mexican-American War. And very few people know this, but President Lincoln actually offered him command of the Union forces, entire command of the Union forces first. But out of loyalty to his state, the state of Virginia, and no other reason, he said he could not raise his sword against his fellow Virginians. And so for 140 years in American history, it was okay to say that, and for some reason in the past decade or two, society hasn't liked that very much. But what we need to realize is that all of our human heroes are imperfect. There's only one human hero that's perfect, and that's Jesus Christ. But what we can do is we can take good things We can look at the positives, we can acknowledge the negatives, we can say things like slavery's bad, but we can acknowledge the positives in personality traits, and in persons and in our history. And so Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson were both incredible Southern gentlemen. They were Christian leaders. They were some of the best military leaders in American history. And after the war, Robert E. Lee was given a post by President Grant, a Union officer, to be the president of Washington College, and he used that to push for reconciliation and bring our country back together. And so I only bring this up because I have a scout book from the 1970s at home, and in it, when you open it up, it says, "Great Americans you should know as a scout." And Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert E. Lee are right next to each other. And so the point of tonight is to celebrate that history as well, and it's still a state holiday in state statutes that was also on Monday, while also celebrating the great accomplishments of Martin Luther King Jr., which they just happen to be on the same day this year. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Councilman Hammer.
I just have one thing. Our police chief was recognized this weekend by Bacaska for the things he's done to the community, the excellence that he provides to the community. It was a room full of about, I'd say, 250, 300 people. And when he walked up there, he got a standing ovation. They were showing how much appreciation they have for your time here and for what you've done. And the great thing about it is the support they had for our deputy chief. And him coming in, they let him speak, and they were excited to see the involvement with the community they've have and they're moving forward with. So I just wanted to recognize that he was recognized by Bacaska this weekend, and I got to experience it. I got to enjoy it. I got to hear some emotional words from Mario that, I've known him for a long time, so I've always seen this big tough guy. And to see him up there showing emotion, it was really cool. I think I got a chance now. Thank you.
Does that conclude your report, sir? Yeah. Thank you. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, Mayor, I'll be brief. If you can pull up this is left at everybody's, all of council's seat. But we had Brevard Homeless Coalition come before us. They're doing the point-in-time count. I'm excited to see that they are working with our city in regards to providing services, from mental health services, health screenings, housing services, career services. This is all going to be on Monday at Tony Rosa Community Center. I'm also excited for staff to get out the flyers to all the parks and facilities, because that's where a lot of our homeless individuals tend to frequent. So I'm praying that they'll see the flyers. I'm praying that they'll head on over to Tony Rosa and get the services they need so we can get them off the streets and, help them in becoming an asset instead of a liability. So I'm excited for this first one. This can be considered like an introductory to a stand-down event, but it's something to get movement on instead of just arresting people or kicking them off the curb. So I'm excited about this. Just wanted to make sure I highlighted it today and highlighted Mr. Morton, Mr. DeLorenzo, and Dr. Robinson's efforts, as well as Mrs. Denise Carter's efforts in getting this forward as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. A few meetings ago, I had brought up asking you gentlemen if it would be okay for me giving the direction to the city attorney about exploring an ordinance regarding marijuana dispensaries. She's found a potential solution that we could put in an ordinance. I'd like to bring that back at the next meeting or so, depending on her schedule when she can prepare that ordinance.
I'm a thumbs up.
Okay.
I think we've got unanimous.
You do that with alcohol too?
and then
I like doing it for storage units too.
And then I believe, I know I have, it looks like, we all have just been copied on emails. I know I received one specifically from a detective out of Melbourne, who I believe was a neighbor of the young man who lost his life in the fire, asking if there was an appetite to possibly rename a road. I have some other ideas, maybe about a park, but would see if you guys would be interested in maybe agendaing this for the next meeting or so, based on what the agenda template looks like, meeting management, let Mr. Morton decide the next meeting or so to discuss that for Mr. Noah Bus, allow the public to come out and provide some input.
Yeah, I think there's a process to name a street. The last time the city that I can recall was Jeremiah Sancho Street, which was a fallen soldier from 2014, if memory. Yeah, well, Sam Lopez Way was right here.
Yeah, and there may be something else. You know, I consider the Grapefruit Trails maybe a potential because the kid liked to bicycle. They're doing a ride this weekend, starting so it could be a Noah Bus, Grapefruit Trails.
I was going with a street name. I believe the Postal Services got to be engaged in that process.
Okay.
And that's how Sancho Street, Jeremiah Sancho Street was dedicated. So I'm open to that, Deputy Mayor, but I believe that we could follow that process. The only one we didn't go through, that postal, is because Sam Lopez Way was right on our property. It's really not an official street in the corridors out there.
Yeah, and then I had to reach out to the city manager earlier this week asking for an update on what's going on with the water treatment plant. Just so happened he was going to have Gabriel talk about that tonight as well. So after we conclude council reports, I'm looking forward to hearing where we're at with that facility.
Okay, with our wastewater plant?
Correct, yeah.
Copy that. Does that conclude? So, yeah, I think you got a thumbs up to see what option for.
Thank you, gentlemen.
for that. Okay, so now I'm on, Councilman Hammer wants to weigh in.
I was just giving my thumbs up, and I also spoke to the Melbourne officer, and we've already started to go through the steps a little bit. There is something you have to get where you have to get waiver, you have to get signatures, and he has spoken with everybody on the street, and they're willing to get the signatures and do all the legwork. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that is the process. Mark this day in the history of the city of Palm Bay. No report. Mr. Morton.
I'll take your time, sir. Thank you. Real briefly, the citizen survey on the website is up. It's active. If you're hearing this and have concerns, ideas, recommendations for how our website could better serve you, please take the time to comment. We're looking forward to that feedback to help make improvements. Secondary effort, we're also evaluating, as I mentioned, the phone tree, and Lynn in our office has taken that on as a project and has some great options and alternatives moving forward. Again, to make it easier for our residents to reach us, to engage, to contact. Again, we're here to serve them, they're not here to serve us. We want to make our phone tree accessible, easy, direct, and get people results quicker. We've had several strong efforts on the compound. It's been a while since we've talked about that. We've got inquiries, we've got projects, we're doing a proactive stormwater park planning we're going to enter into and bring back to you as we've talked about. We've got a meeting tomorrow, some senior staff and our legislative assistant, I guess. It's not the formal title, but Tanya Holder out in Public Works has been doing a great job facilitating. And we're going to meet with Alex Kelly's staff tomorrow to continue to talk about that job growth grant. I'm excited. It looks very good. Our engagement partners that we're considering moving a business or businesses out there are still on board, so we continue to work through that process. Very, very encouraging. And of course, we'll tail that on to our efforts, as you heard tonight. I know myself, Deputy City Manager Jason DiLorenzo, and Daniel Kratz will all be together for a full day available. We have some meetings scheduled actually already proactively that people have reached out to us. And we're going to be there available all day to market and talk about the wonderful things happening and commercial job creation opportunities in the city of Palm Bay. So we're really grateful for that. And lastly, thank you, Deputy Mayor Jaffe. I did ask Mr. Bowden to prepare a few comments, give us a status update, and answer any questions you have on the progress and never-ending progress. There's always progress on the plan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. I cannot wait to celebrate with this plant opening up. In September, I provided a few dates to you guys for dry checks, wet checks, and startup and seeding. That was to expect dry checks to start on October 27th. They did not start until November 21st, 25-day delay. Wet checks were scheduled to start December 1st. We're actually expecting those to take place February 2nd or February 9th. I'm kind of planning more for February 9th. That's a 70-day delay. And then startup and seeding, was scheduled to start on February 5th. We're now expecting that to start on March 2nd, a 56-day delay. We've had a number of positives through the course of the startup, finding a number of issues, working through resolution with the contractor, doing whatever we can on our end to help with those issues, whether it's coming up with solutions, loaning them a shoring, some of our shoring to be able to do a repair. Whatever we can do without crossing the line, we're trying to do. So happy to answer any questions. Work is progressing. It's, Kubota has been great. They're very flexible. Whenever they get a green light that RJ Sullivan has everything done and ready to go, they will be here with the startup team, and they've been very flexible. That's a critical point for us.
Yeah, so I just have a question. Were you?
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So, I mean, I just, historically, like, you weren't here yet. I remember Mr. Morgan, the interim city manager, came to us with a change order, and during briefing, I was like, I'm not going to approve this. And he's like, this will be the only last one you'll see. And I was like, I want them to be fired. And I asked the same thing to take place. You've heard those discussions with me, and now we're almost a half a year later. I actually thought R.J. Sullivan was fired, and then we brought in Wharton Smith. It's 150 days. Is that a guaranteed promise from R.J. Sullivan? And is our warranty period on all the things that they've installed in the last 6 years, are they going to start on the date of substantial completion, or are we already burning through warranty?
Great question, and we do have some warranty questions that we have to work through on a couple of different pumps that I'm aware of. Outside of that, George is more familiar with the contract. I'm not sure when that warranty part starts.
Yeah, I mean, typically it's usually when substantial completion certificate of occupancy takes place. That's when typically warranties begin. So I just would hope that's crystal clear when we start churning over, that if we turn the building over, I should say, because that's what it seems like. So, but yeah, those are the only comments I had.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. There's a level of frustration in each and every one of us, I can tell you that. I'm not going to elaborate any more beyond that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Smith, anything to report?
Yes. Previously, council, there was, Centerpoint came forth. They had two different zoning applications, one of which was denied. Centerpoint has indicated that they're seeking to go through there's a statutory process for dispute resolution that allows for them to have a public hearing with a special magistrate. Before the public hearing with the special magistrate, they have requested mediation. Typically, in mediations, we have somebody, I'll have the risk manager, or I might have a department head. In this case, although it's not a risk, committee case, I think it may be helpful to have a council member, and I was wanting to have Councilman Johnson actually be included as part of the mediation. I have reached out to him. He is amendable to that, but I did want to actually, bring that forth to council. Since it's a little different than me just picking somebody, it is a council member, but I do think it would be appropriate and be helpful in this particular case to actually have someone from council be part of the mediation process.
And so you're asking for our consensus?
Just making sure that there is no, like I say, Councilman Johnson is amendable to it, but that council has no issue with me proceeding as such.
When she asked me about it, I was fine with it. I understood what her take was in regards to having somebody from one of the departments. They wouldn't truly understand the scope of, what transpired and what's at stake. So I felt comfortable.
Okay.
I just said, I'm comfortable with Councilman Johnson, and you're not asking for an executive session at this point, or will you be asking for one, an executive session?
Well, not at this point. Certainly, depending upon how, what may come forth mediation, it may be something where we have different, I may explore different opportunities, but there's not going to be anything that's going to occur without the entire council approval, whether it's something that comes out of mediation or if it's a recommendation from the special magistrate. This is the same type of mediation, but it's just a little different because usually I don't bring in a council member as part of it, but being that this is the appeal of a actual land use that had essentially based upon what council thought, and he was one of the people who actually voted against the rezoning. He's also on the risk, so he understands how the mediation process works and the actual zoning matter. I think it would be helpful.
Okay, all right. Congratulations. Is that all, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
This meeting's adjourned.